Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi out here. It's Wild Wednesday, and we're talking about championship at the Euroleague. This happened this weekend, and Turkish team Fenerbahçe won the Turkish. They're the Turkish champion, and they were the Euroleague champion because they won the Final Four this weekend in Abu Dhabi, and it's the second time that this franchise has been Euroleague champion. First time they were the Euroleague champion was in 2016-17. And in that Euroleague championship, they defeated Khem Birch on the other side, playing against him. That's right. And this was before Khem Birch played in the NBA. Yeah, this was when Khem Birch went through college. He didn't get drafted. He didn't get into the NBA immediately. I don't know if people realize this because honestly, this is something that kind of gets glossed over sometimes. They did bring it up, the announce crew, and talk about how Khem Birch, his path to the NBA was not like straight, and that's the thing, from Montreal, Toronto Raptors fan as a kid. His father used to drive him to Toronto and he'd go to Raptors games as a kid in the Vince era. And, Khem's a Canadian. Last year, he became a Canadian Olympian, playing for Canada at Paris Olympics. So he's a very accomplished guy. In fact, in some ways, it's weird, man. The way Khem was playing for the Raptors near the end of his Raptors time, he seemed like he was broken and he wasn't going to be able to play ever again because there were issues with his knee. And, if you told me that his most successful part of his career was going to be post the NBA, I would have been like, okay, that sounds weird. What's going on? But that's true. He had his most important thing that he's ever done in his basketball career this past weekend, winning Euroleague. Euroleague's a huge deal, y'all. This is where the European stars of the future in the NBA they shine early, like Luka Doncic and Bogdan Bogdanovic. And this is a really big deal. They are the champions of that continent over there. And it's fantastic. The MVP is Nigel Hayes-Davis. Nigel Hayes-Davis is a former Raptor, too. He actually played for our team in 2016. And he played 2 games for the Raptors, the MVP of the EuroLeague right now. And he was on the G League with Westchester Knicks. We picked him up on 10-day contract and tried him out on our team. And we had him for 20 days. And we played him in 2 NBA games, including against his team, the Knicks. And that he scored 2 3-pointers on the Knicks, and that's pretty much all he did. But yeah, even the MVP of the EuroLeague, Nigel Hayes-Davis, is a former Raptor. This is crazy. It gets even crazier. The general manager of this team in Turkey is our former assistant general manager, Maurizio Gardini, who was assistant to Brian Colangelo when we had the number 1 pick in the draft and we drafted Andrea Bargnani. Yeah, the connections run crazy. And I went and was researching this team in Turkey, Fenerbahçe, and the list of players that played on this team is insane. In fact, list of Raptors that played on this team. There's a huge intertwining history between our team, the Toronto Raptors, and this team that Khem just won a championship on this past weekend. I look at this list. Former players of this team were Bojan Bogdanovic, not a Raptor, but Jean Tabak, original Raptor, played on this team after he played for the Raptors. He went to Europe and played for Fenerbahçe. Raptors legend Roko Jukic played for this team. Also, Raptors legend Nando De Colo, French player, he played for this team. And not that long ago, Nando was playing for this team like 3 years ago, guys. Nando De Colo. Also, Giannis's little brother, Costas, played on this team at some points. Yes, Costas Antetokounmpo played on this team. Let's see if there's any other names I recognize. Linus Kleza, who was a Raptor for a while there, the Lithuanian Linus. He played on this team too. The connections are insane. The connections between this team and our team. Both Bogdanoviches played for this team. Both Bogdan and Bojan. Both of them played. Boban played for this team. Boban Marjanovic. Of course, Boban. You know Boban. Let's see who else is on it. Lorenzo Brown. Raptor legend Lorenzo Brown, who's a European legend for sure. Spanish champion, a EuroLeague champion. Lorenzo Brown was on this team for a while. Thabo Cephalosha was on this team. Also for more Raptors, Anthony Bennett, Canadian Anthony Bennett played for this team. Tyler Ennis played for this team. There's been a few Canadians who played for this team. Even Jay Triano, former Raptors coach, played for this team. Jay Triano, Canadian Olympian from way back. Yeah. Another name on this list is crazy. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Chris Jackson played on this team. There's a storied history of interesting players that played for this team. Also, and this is a really cool one, the legend of Greek League, Mike the Bulldozer Batiste, current assistant coach of the Toronto Raptors, played on this team. So the ties that bind Fenderbosch and the Raptors are very, very strong. Very, very strong. It's really crazy, actually. I was looking at this list, and I'm like, holy crap, there's another Raptor. There's another Raptor. There's so many dang Raptors that have played on this team. Their current coach is Sarnas Jaskavias, the former NBA player who played briefly for Indiana Pacers. The Lithuanian. So, yeah, it's interesting, man. He was actually one of the coaches candidates for the times we've been looking for coaches. He's been a candidate. So Khem Birch described winning this EuroLeague championship like he's living in a movie. Man, I wonder how Wendy Sparks is doing this week, man. She's probably over the moon and so proud of her son. It's weird because, NBA championship is the pinnacle in basketball in some ways, but that's only because we're conditioned to think that. This EuroLeague championship is more important in some ways around the world than the NBA championship sometimes. It's just that we don't cover EuroLeague at all in North America. We don't care about it because the NBA has a monopoly on basketball in some ways at the highest level. And they don't want us Americans and Canadians tuning in to watch EuroLeague basketball. That would cut into their time for us to watch NBA basketball. So there is a real blackout of European competition with EuroLeague. And, I can't say that has done a disservice to our continent. And it's also done a disservice to young players in North America. And in some ways, you want to ignore and not look and see, well, it's going to still happen. They're going to still come and they're going to start taking over your league over here too. Luka Doncic and those kind of guys. So I really feel like in some ways, I know they won't ever do this because the NBA has a stranglehold on basketball programming in North America. But man, it would be awesome. Maybe up here in Canada, can we do this somehow? Since we have a lot of hockey, international hockey on TV here, why can't we have international basketball on TV here in Canada? I would ask that question right now because we're missing out on some of the best competitive basketball in the world. We don't get to watch it. They watch the NBA over in Europe. They watch both. They watch EuroLeague and NBA, but we do not watch EuroLeague here. And in some ways, that's the NBA's fault for being monopolistic and being territorial. And, I wonder what it's like, man, to watch EuroLeague stuff. It may be a lot more fun in some ways. FIBA basketball has been enjoyable to me the last couple of years with the Olympics and the World Cup. And, we will probably never know, especially since Amazon has entered the chat and they're going to be broadcasting the NBA soon. And we know how they like to close out everybody from everything and just get all the money themselves and their profits and close down all kinds of other businesses just to make one big entity called Amazon. Anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm so happy for Khem. A lot of people didn't realize how hurt Khem was when he played for the Raptors the last time. And, he couldn't play for the Spurs when we traded him there and he got waived. And then he went away and he had to rehab. And he said himself, I was way hurt than I thought. And when I got healthy, holy crap, I was healthy for the first time in like 5 years. And that was part of the reason why I advocated for him to make the Canadian Olympic team last summer. Because I had seen highlights of him working out and playing. And he was moving around like he did when he was in Orlando playing for the Magic early in his NBA career. So I'm very happy for Khem that he's found a healthy stretch of his career, and he's found a lot of success in his career post-Raptors. It's fantastic. Go Canada, and go Khem Birch, and go Nigel Hayes-Davis, and the rest of Fenerbahce, who beat Monaco in the finals this weekend. Very, very cool stuff. If y'all have any questions about the EuroLeague Championship this weekend, and Khem Birch is part in it, he's the starting center. He's considered their best defensive player. And it's a team that's mostly of Turkish guys. You know, they have to have a certain amount of native guys from the country, and they have special roster spots for international players to join. And Khem Birch is one of those guys. Yeah, that's right. Let's go, Wendy Sparks. Let's go, Khem Birch. Yeah, I'm all about it, man. Yeah, Khem, you're building your legend even further, man. And he really is genuinely happy. You can see the smiles all over his face in the interviews from this past weekend. So let's salute Khem Birch, great Canadian Olympian, and now EuroLeague champion as of this weekend. I think it's full circle that Khem Birch played this team before his NBA career as a very young player when he was first in Europe, before he made the NBA, because he had to go to Europe before he got called by Orlando Magic. He did. He had to go to Europe before he got called. That he lost to Fenerbahce in the finals on his old team, and now he's on that team, and he won the championship this year. It's 2 times that team has won championship, Fenerbahce. It was the 1 year they beat Khem, and the 1 year they won with Khem. That's their history right there. Man, crazy linkages between this Turkish club and the Toronto Raptors. There you go. Let's get involved with the chat here real quick. There's my spiel on Khem Birch winning the EuroLeague. It's fantastic, man. Live your best life, man. Live your best life, Raptors fan and Raptor, Khem Birch. That's right. People will come and go in your life, but the person you see in the mirror will be there forever. Be kind to the person in the mirror today. Yeah. Oh, man. You know, we can be our harshest critics. We have an inner voice, and sometimes it's not very fair. So listen, this actually is an activity people can do, and it's really helpful. Go look at yourself in the mirror and accept yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror and accept yourself for your faults, physical, mental, whatever faults you have that you perceive. And, forgive yourself for being human. Forgive yourself for being you, and allow yourself to be you. And, if you're doing things that, you should do better at, well, you can improve yourself. But, accept yourself in some ways, because some people have a really hard time accepting themselves, and they have a personal internal conflict that is much worse than anything else. And that's horrible. You need to be able to be okay with yourself. That's what I would say. Thank you, Trevor J., for your words of wisdom. And I appreciate you for all the fun, Commissioner Fun. That's right. Trevor's saying that the Knicks fans are crying. Pascal's 30 points, and Tyrese Halliburton did something that never been happening in Pacers history. He got a 30-point triple-double, which is crazy. Indiana's up 3-1. Just love it. Love it. Trevor J is loving the orange and blue tears of Knicks Nation, and I'm with him. Give me a spoon. I want a spoonful myself. Mom, they taste so good. Taste so good. Yeah, John Halliburton celebrating from very far up. Nowhere near the court at the end of the game. He's up there in the skybox. I'm glad he was in the house and able to clap and see his son get such an amazing, impressive stat line. There's an interesting stat on Blue Skies for Kathika Keeks from TSN Stats. And she's saying that recently Jalen Brunson's minutes in the fourth quarter have been cut, that he is tiring out. And Thibodeau's run that team in the ground, and Jalen Brunson can't play the whole entire game. Fatigue is a factor, and it is hitting the Knicks at this point. In fact, Siakam, after the game, taking subtle jabs at this in his interview. First of all, talking to inside the NBA crew, saying that, the vibes here in Indiana are very much like the vibes in Toronto that I had before. They're very same. The fans are very supportive, and the city's been awesome. The franchise has been awesome in Indiana, and it reminds me a lot of the things we had in Toronto back then, too. That's cool, man. I love that. I love that he's equalizing and he's bringing us up. I mean, in some ways, he don't have to bring the Raptors up ever again. He's a Pacer right now, but it's important, a part of history, and he has no problem propping up or putting props on Toronto Raptors and culture and our fans and our franchise. And I love that. But Siakam going on in this interview saying, yeah, man, we're 4-12 deep, man. And, that right there is an insult or a put down to Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks in their very, very short rotation. In fact, they're trying some crazy stuff at this point with changing the starting lineup, taking Josh Hart out, put Mitchell Robinson in. They're trying – Precious got to play finally for 2 minutes. in a game, but in some ways he wasn't a factor in any kind of way. But they're grasping at straws. They're trying to put off the inevitable, which is coming. That's right. And now that there's only one game to elimination, New York, yeah, it's do or die. And well, you are going to get to go home for the next game. We'll have to see if you can stop that great road playoff team that the Indiana Pacers have been this year. I mean, seriously, I would almost say y'all have a better chance of beating the Pacers in Indianapolis than you do in New York sometimes. Because once again, I'm going to say this is just like Leaf Nation. The pressure in Madison Square Garden for this game, an elimination game, where they all feel like they're going to choke, they feel that energy, they anticipate it, they're going to get it. That's right. In some ways, that's what happened to Maple Leafs when they came to the arena for Game 7 on a Sunday a couple weeks ago. That some of the Leaf fans were anticipating failure for the Leafs because of their history. And I'm going to say this right now, Knicks psychology, their fans, the same thing. Same thing. They're going to show up to Madison Square Garden coming in thinking, I don't want to choke. I don't want to lose, man. I don't want it to happen again. And it will, because that's the way they're thinking. And they're already scared and they're already worried about it. It's the same reason why it happened to Leafs fans. It's the same thing. Y'all come in there with all that energy to your home arena, and, well, it feeds to your players. It feeds to your players, the shakiness, the uncomfortableness, the, oh, no, we're going to fail again-ness. Yeah, and we're going to see it happen. Watch, they're going to get beat on their own court, and Ben Stiller's going to be in shambles, and Spike Lee is going to be, it's going to be crazy. And partly going to be the fans' fault in New York because they are so traumatized and worried, and they are so messed up, just like Leaf Nation. It's sad, man. In some ways, y'all need to stop this. That is the energy that will make you lose. Y'all all show up there, thousands of y'all, with nervous energy about, oh, no, I don't want him to choke again. No choking, please, Brad Marchand. No. They will do it. They will do it. It's the same atmosphere, same kind of thing. Leafs, Knicks, same franchise, different sports. It's different sports. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, that's why I would say, man, y'all in New York, don't get on the plane to go back to New York. Stay in Indianapolis. Y'all have the best chance to win there. Seriously. Oh, man, it's so good, man. Let's keep going. Trevor saying DeMar's love for Toronto is priceless. This guy not only loves a city, he is in love with the city of Toronto. That's right. That's right. DeMar's done another interview where he just says Toronto's number one. That's what he said. Toronto is number one in my heart. And it's really, and this, I mean, I get it, man. He became a man here. He came here a young man with no jacket, and he left here a family man with kids and raised up, grown. He grew up real good up here in Canada. That's what I'm saying, man. In some ways, he respects the journey that he had here. And you know what? Listen, the other part of it is, look, I know that DeRozan did not get a ring. I know that Kawhi got that ring. But I'm going to say this right now. As time goes on, DeMar DeRozan should be able to revel and appreciate the Raptors championship more and more as he gets older. Because, listen, that doesn't happen without what you did in the years leading up to it, DeMar. In some ways, look, there's a lot of people that work on a motion picture. There's so many names in the credits. And your name is like pretty high up in the credits. You're not no gaffer. You're not no dolly grip. No, you are an executive producer of the Raptors 2019 championship, DeMar DeRozan, because you were the person who helped pull the team up to that level on your back by saying, when Chris Bosh left, I got us. Don't worry. I am Toronto, and I will take us somewhere. And he did. He took us to respect. He took us to Eastern Conference Finals. He took us to higher and higher levels of the playoffs. And the last step was just completed by a man named Leonard. And in some ways, DeMar took the hardest steps to build up to that one last step to get the championship. And that's why I say, look, man, you don't have the hardware. You don't have the ring. But, bro, you did the progress. You did the work to build it up with your man Lowry. And that's why I say, man, you should take more ownership of the Raptors championship, because the rebuild to the championship, or the build to the championship, you were there 90% of it. 90% of that build up to the 2019 championship, except for the last year. And that you were the guy who did it, man. You're the guy who took us from the throes of being all upset because of South Beach and Chris Bosh and LeBron James to carry us with Kyle Lowry, give us respectability. That's the other thing. DeMar DeRozan didn't come here just to get good himself. He didn't come to the NBA and the Toronto Raptors just to play better himself and become an all-star and become one of the greatest scorers in the history of the NBA. He came to Toronto to prop us up as a city, as a culture, as a franchise. And he did just that. And that's why I tell people, don't fucking denigrate DeMar DeRozan ever. Don't say he's a loser because he didn't get to come here and be on a championship team because he got traded for Kawhi. Don't, when he comes back as an opposing player, denigrate him, Drake. Because don't you understand just how much his fingerprints are all over that Larry O'Brien over my shoulder right there? That's what I say to people. You never disrespect DeMar DeRozan. That's what I'm saying. And he professes to the day he dies. And I love him for it, man. He has every reason in the world to hold a grudge and hate Toronto, but he does not. And he is the best example of going forth in this world with love instead of hate. And I love you, DeMar. It's so awesome, Trevor. I'm glad you brought that up. Trevor's saying they're saying what is fueling Pacers' playoff run is Pascal. That's what I'm saying. And you guys were saying this after the game last night. Siakam and them won. You know, jabronis, when they win a big game like that, they celebrate and they get all like, woo, we won. We feel good. No. You don't do that in the playoffs until you get that behind me right there. And Siakam knows this. It's like he's holding them Pacers down. It's like, sure, they know. They've been there. They were Eastern Conference Finals last year. You know, you don't celebrate till you get it done. Yeah, if they beat the Knicks, which they probably will, and they're Eastern Conference champions, they're going to celebrate. Sure, we'll do it just like the Raptors did. Hold up a little trophy with Kawhi for a second and say, oh, we're Eastern Conference champions. But no. Work is not done. There's still another round. And Siakam gets the assignment. Siakam understands that part of it. And in some ways, he's keeping those young Pacers on track as far as like, no, don't get a big head. Don't get too happy. Don't get too positive. We have so much work to do still. All business after the game. No gloating, no nothing. In some ways, he's like, you wouldn't even tell that they won because it's just like, yeah, I'm not done. There's so much more I got to do. And that is what a champion acts like. And that is what a person that is like, you know, knows that they need to go far to get really far. You want to get a win in the playoffs? Ooh, celebrate, act like it a championship, and you probably find yourself out the door quick. If you want to celebrate getting a playoff win, woo, I'm so happy we won a playoff round already. Well, if you let down your guard in the second round, you're going to be bounced quick. So this is one of the biggest things that Siakam gives to the Pacers is that treasure map, is that understanding of what it takes to get to Larry O'Brien. And, man, I love Siakam getting all the props now. I love that he's getting interviewed on Inside the NBA after the game. I love that they are shining a light on him and his greatness, finally. And as I said this Sunday, the evolution of Pascal Siakam Sunday special report, 9:30 a.m. this Sunday. I will reattempt to do this, and I will get it done this time. That's right. That's right. And I hope you'll tune in and hear my long retrospective of the Siakam's career and how he got to this point, man. And it's amazing. It's amazing stuff, man. Yeah, the game, it's so refreshing. That's right. So refreshing. James is here. Good to see James. Indiana, one more win from the finals. Did not expect this at all. I didn't either. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say that I did not think that the Indiana Pacers would be the Eastern Conference champions and in the finals representing the Eastern Conference. If you looked at the teams from this past year, if you looked at what the prognostication at the beginning of the season was for the Pacers, the fact that they're there, well, it just proves to everybody that parity is in this league. And y'all can say the Raptors aren't good enough to make the playoffs or go far in the playoffs, but parity's in this league. Now, we don't have the experience probably yet to really battle in the playoffs and get deep. But, you know, anything can happen in this league at this point. It's not clear that Cleveland and Boston were going to be the juggernauts and just run right through the playoffs. That's what everybody thought. Nope, they out. They're out. And that's fantastic. And that's what I'm saying. When it's an unpredictable league, when there's things that happen, then people will tune in because they don't know what's going to happen next. You're going to script write Adam Silver. We know what's going to happen. Well, it's boring. And we won't tune in. That's pretty much it right there. Boom goes the dynamite. Kareem Thomas is here, the butt dialer. Let's see what he's saying right now. Can I do a quick rant? Oh, yeah. I like this. I'm fucking tired of this finger waving to the bench for a challenge. This is the time the NBA treats the stupid finger shift as a timeout. Swirl as a timeout. Okay. You mean when they go like this and they want to get review the players? Yeah, I think that there's a movement with the coaches and teams to disregard many of the players on this, and certain players they listen to. Now it depends on the player. I think the criteria is if it's Scotty Barnes doing it, yeah, you might want to listen to him, Darko, and just help him out because Scott's not always going to do that. But let's say it's somebody like I don't know, Abaji or Boucher or maybe I don't know who's another one that maybe it was Orlando Robinson. You maybe are like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to, it's also a case by case basis. If certain players do that and then you do it and they fail like the challenge and it doesn't go through, then you maybe don't trust that player going forward as much. I think it's case by case basis on the team, like as far as the player on the team and who's asking. But I get it. Everybody's trying to do things and try and get their calls, and maybe they're annoying, like as far as like holding up the game and just kind of like some guys like to hold the ball so that there's time to make the decision and like wait. They're like, no, I don't want to inbound the ball because like I'm still waiting to see if my coach is going to challenge this. There's all kinds of weird byproducts to this phenomenon. You're right, man. I don't know if I'm ranting about this. It doesn't bug me. I mean, in some ways, I see players always trying to call for challenges. And I'm like, yeah, right. They're not going to do anything. And sometimes it's like, yeah, that's a frivolous. That's just you asking out of your ass, kind of thing. Kareem saying, not every time you get touched deserves a challenge. You're in a sport, play through the foul, play through the last tip ball. Like, why are you making all those millions? Well, I mean, they're trying to politic in favor. Then that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to politic the referees to get favor. And one of the ways they try and do it is, this is the thing. The players want respect on the court from the refs to get foul calls, right? And this is a new weapon for them to try and do that. And, some of them are successful at this. Some of them that are more high profile, like LeBron or something like that, well, they go like this. It could very well be that JJ Redick's calling a challenge. And then the refs are kind of like, well, this is LeBron. He is the cash cow of the NBA. And we should kind of like think about that. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I mean, they're competitors. They're going to try and use every single thing to try and get an advantage. And, well, some of them want to just finger twirl is what we're doing. Yeah, Kareem's saying it's bad enough these kids are idolizing these flops. Now they're arguing with refs with no calls, then looking to their coach for validation. Well, let them do that. It's a free world. And if they do it, they may look bad. Maybe the ref will take it out on them and give them some more bad calls because they're annoying them. Tony Brothers will do that. He will do that. He'll start calling more fouls on you if you complain and whine to him too much. So, I mean, do it at your own risk. Some people know how to come at it with a sweet and they get good results. Some of them come at it with bitter and they don't. So it's like, talking to the refs and politicking with them on anything is an art. And some players do not have good personalities for it. And some players do. And they actually do get somewhere with it. So I don't know, man. I mean, this is just part of the game at this point. The referees and politicking and trying to get favor is always going to be a part of trying to compete and trying to get better. It's interesting. There's a new stunted growth out on very briefly Raptor Malachi Richardson. You guys remember Malachi Richardson? Well, I posted it in the Discord server. And it's interesting because they talk a lot about why Malachi Richardson failed in the league. And it's very interesting because it's kind of like what I've been talking about with the young players in college, not understanding how to really play basketball correctly. And this guy is exactly that. He had a very good college career where he had a moment and it really thrust him in the spotlight. And that made him, more likely to get drafted. And he did. But the thing is, he didn't develop the proper skills, special skills, like being really good at one particular skill. He was just an all-around kind of wing player. And in some ways, college and everything didn't prepare him for the NBA and how competitive it was and what NBA teams are looking for. And it's basically an indictment of the college system and the training that American players get right now, that they're not learning how to play the NBA game properly if they want to play in the NBA. And Malachi Richardson is a great example of this and him getting bounced out of the league in just under 2 years. So it's interesting. Check out Stunted Growth. And it will this particular clip on Malachi Richardson is very illuminating on some of the issues with the college game in the United States and funneling players through and them really not really knowing what they're doing right, and then having very brief, short NBA careers and falling out and flaming out really quick. So yeah, that's up there right now. They also have one on Enes Kanter, which is very interesting because it's talking about how his politics and his problem with losing his passport with Turkey, how it completely ended his NBA career because he couldn't travel to Canada anymore. Because if he left the country of the United States, he could be taken as a political prisoner by people or something. It's crazy. And then the other one that they put up recently, which is awesome, is the fall of the Memphis Grizzlies. Why did the Grizzlies fall from the last couple of years, like from being a playoff team and being a top team to where they are now? And you know what? Number 2 reason on the stunted growth list is Dillon Brooks leaving right there. And that was their own damn fault. They said Dillon Brooks was no longer welcome on the Grizzlies anymore and that he would not be coming back. And everything went south since then. And it's exactly right. You know, talking about how Dillon Brooks, when he left the Grizzlies, he took their mojo, their persona, their personality, their fire, their compete. That Dillon Brooks was the guy who made the Grizzlies' attitude of what they were when he was there. And then when they said, "Oh, we don't want your antics anymore," well, y'all lost your edge. And it went with him. So it's crazy. Stunted growth calling out straight up, saying the biggest stunt, second biggest, number 2 on the list was Dillon Brooks. Getting rid of Dillon Brooks absolutely hurt the Grizzlies in the end. I believe it. I agree with them. What he does for the Rockets is very valuable, and it was valuable for the Grizzlies. They didn't pay attention to that as much as they should have and taken care of that. That's right. That's their own damn fault. They shouldn't have done that. That's right. Let's see. Here we go. Kareem saying, treat this like Key and Peele. 2-finger salute is basically putting your coach on notice, but 3-finger twirls is an automatic challenge, just like the 3 hip thrusts in football. Well, you know, maybe at some point, if this gets out of hand, like if it's dragging the games out because people are taking too much time lollygagging, or maybe if there's too much boy cry wolf or anything like that, maybe they'll make some rules. We know the NBA is trying to control people's fingers and hand motions all over the place. So why couldn't they control this real quick? I don't know how to do this. But, I mean, it's not a really big deal. I get it. You're annoyed with it. I guess if I'd watched the game and saw how much it's prevalent or something like that, maybe I'd be with you like this. But I right now, I just don't see this as a very crucial issue, Kareem. you want to get mad about it, it's your right. There you go. It's your right. Let's see. Kareem's also saying, let's go Khem Birch, local legend. That's right. Montreal legend, Canadian legend, and underrated legend. Yeah, I love him, man. In some ways, you know, he's on a list with guys like Jay Triano, Leo Routens, Rowan Barrett Sr. You know, he's a Canadian Olympian. And that's a big deal. You know, we don't have a long list of men that played for the Olympics in basketball for Canada. So it's awesome, man. And it really is special that they added him to the Olympic team last year. You know, they were smart. And I was saying this last summer, remember? That like everybody who just wants Wiggins and all the young Canadians on that team, that's not the right way to do it. In some ways, you needed to pay back people like Birch and Olenek and Melvin Ejim and the Scrub brothers for their service in building up the Canadian program to the level that it's at now internationally. That, you know, it's kind of wrong, man. Melvin Ejim bust his ass for 10 years. Trying to get Canada up to this level, and then you're going to tell him, no, you're not good enough to be on the Olympic team, though. We're going to go all NBA. That's why I was pushing so hard against this last summer, because it's not right. You know, we're so NBA-centric, like I was talking about, because the blackout of Euroleague, that we don't realize that there's very good players in Europe, like Melvin Ejim, and that, you know, they know the international game, which is what the Olympics is, better than some of these really good NBA players. Seriously. In some ways, that's why you want players like Birch and Ejim on Team Canada Olympic team, is because they have way more international experience than a young gun like Ben Mathurin or something like that. Not Ben Mathurin is going to be on the team soon. His time will come. But in some ways, that last Olympics last year with Jordy in Paris was about, in some ways, the culmination of arriving back to the Olympic stage. And the guys who got us there, like Khem Birch and Melvin Ejim, needed to get rewarded by getting that Olympian title added on their resume. And that's why I was saying, man, I'm so glad that Khem was on the team last year. And some people may have been shocked that Khem Birch was on Team Canada last year. And they'd be like, why didn't we put more NBA players on this team? Well, because we needed size. And he was a good one because Zach Edey couldn't play because he was in training camp with Memphis. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it went that way. Good job, Rowan Barrett Sr. and Michael Bartlett on making the decisions for the roster last year. That's right. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam, and happy Wednesday. Good morning, MJ. Hope you're having a fantastic middle of the week day, and good to see you. Great words of wisdom, Trevor. Keep practicing on your crying, Knicks fans. Next games you'll cry. You'll cry for good. Feel bad for OG, but I'm elated with Pascal and how much recognition he's finally getting. Yeah, Spicy P, that's right. P skills. The P skill is. Yeah, OG's weird, man. I wonder if OG likes being in New York at this point. There's some signs that he does, but there's some signs that it's kind of like uncomfortable for him. I mean, I seen the interview the other day where he sat down, nobody asked him a question, he left. I seen him fighting with Kat, but I see him flirting with Anne Hathaway. I see him doing this and this. And they love him and stuff like that. But also, Knicks fans are toxic towards OG. Have you noticed this too? Like some of the energy that they would direct at RJ Barrett is going at OG at this point, guys. There's a lot of toxic Knicks fans that hate OG because he misses free throws late in the game. Yeah, they're talking a lot about that. Some people will blame OG for some of the losses in the playoffs right now, saying it's OG's fault because he didn't hit this shot or he missed this free throw or he didn't do this on defense. Yeah, the toxicness of Knicks fans stab OG in the back every day, every hour, every minute online. And I don't know, man. I don't know how much OG was getting that kind of energy from our fan nation. I don't think he was. He was pretty beloved. And most people just were kind of like, OG's awesome. Who said anything bad about OG up here? Even the toxic fans up here, maybe they talked about him in trade rumors, but they didn't really denigrate him or come at him in certain ways. If OG messed up at the end of the game, like if he dribbled the ball off his foot on a drive to the basket, I just call it like it is. But I wasn't getting mad at him like some of the Knicks fans are getting mad at him. So I wonder what's going on with Anunoby there. Is he happy? I don't know. Is he happier than he was in Toronto? I don't know. In some ways, he does have lighter features on his face, and ways it does seem like he's smiley more in some ways. But then again, at the end of the Raptors part of his career, things were kind of but there were smiley times with OG earlier. I don't know. In some ways, I wonder about OG's psychology about being in New York at this point, because we know he's a private guy and he doesn't want to have anything to do with people hardly in most ways other than playing on the court. And New York is just such a voracious environment, a tough place to play, just like playing for the Leafs in Toronto. Same thing for the Knicks in New York. That's right. There you go. There you go. Fiercely saying, okay, I can't read that. That's not exactly right. Scotty, when trying to roller skate, that clip was funny. What? I look like Scotty when I try to roller skate. Oh, you're saying you look like Scotty when you try to roller skate? Yeah, that whole kind of thing. All right. Let's do the Instagram stories since this has been brought up. Scotty's been seen out in public in the last 24 hours. We'll talk about it in a sec. Toronto Tempo's putting on Blast Unmatched. It's a conference for gender equity in sports. Very, very cool. Toronto Tempo putting that on blast. And then they've got a clip of Jolie Black from this past weekend. She was at the Toronto Talks, Tempo Talks, hosted by Sephora at Stack Market this weekend. And she had a funny thing about saying that sometimes you have to rally or be tough in the face of adversity if things aren't right. She had a really inspiring speech, though. Very, very cool. Savannah Hamilton, I'm kind of disappointed in you. She's in Egypt. That's right. She's on vacation. We're getting to vicariously go to Egypt with her through her Instagram stories. But she's saying here, I had to. And I'm like, oh, no. She went to McDonald's in Egypt. And she, listen, I'll say this, though. They give us all the worst crap for McDonald's here on this continent. In the rest of the world, McDonald's has actually good food. Because this is the thing. The food quality standards in other countries is higher. And McDonald's has to up their game on their product and quality of food in other locations. They can get away with the cheap stuff in the United States and here in Canada, sadly. But over in Europe and place like Egypt, McDonald's is going to have top notch. Now, in some ways, I don't like this because this is very a mirroring of Donald Trump's little McDonald's mobile that they got out for him recently when he went to the Middle East. They were trying to kiss his ass. So they brought a portable McDonald's. And in some ways, that's playing the stereotype with Donald Trump. And in some ways, I'm like, Savannah, really? We're trying to boycott USA in some ways. And you putting on blast McDonald's on your Instagram, in some ways, as a Canadian, I'm frustrated with you. If you had gone to A&W or maybe Harvey Burger in Egypt, I would have felt better about what you're doing. But no, you went to McDonald's. Why are you at McDonald's in Egypt? You could eat anywhere there. Why would you go to McDonald's while you're there? Come on now. Seriously. She got a mango sundae. They have mango flavored sundaes over there, not just strawberry and chocolate. They got mango sundaes at McDonald's in Egypt. And then she got not chicken nuggets, but chicken wings. McDonald's chicken wings from McDonald's in Egypt. I don't know, man. In some ways, once again, Savannah, I'm disappointed. Don't put on blast a big, huge corporate conglomerate that's global like that. They don't need it. You know, oh, I'm going to Egypt, McDonald's. Okay. I guess there's some novelty to that, but I wish it was a Canadian brand, honestly. I wish it was a Canadian brand and not that one. That's right. Welcome to the desert. Now, see, this is funny. Like, she's I don't know if she's messing around with words because she said mango sundae and she spelled it like the day of the week. And I'm like, that's not how you spell Sunday when it's a treat. It has an E on the end of it, Savannah. And now she's spelling welcome to the desert like it's dessert. So you're getting letters wrong, Savannah. One less S if you're in the desert because it says welcome to the dessert. Are you heading towards another mango sundae? Is that what's going on there? I don't know. I would say get away from McDonald's. Just you look like Trump when you go there. I'm sorry. Slim Doug is at Montreal Alliance game. He's got the Alliance ball in front of him, and there's oh man, I don't like Chris's latest post. It's a jab. In some ways, there's something weird going on here. First, then we see Chris working out. He's wearing black and red, which is a good sign. You know, you want to wear the team colors of the team you want to be on, hopefully. But yeah, Chris is putting in that work, getting strong. He knows from his career, the best thing he's got to do is do the work in the off season so he can stay top level. And specifically for him is continuing his strengthening. He has to keep his arms very strong. So he's doing a lot of weight work, lifting big weights like this and doing it with off balance so he can be very wiry strong. You know, he's still very, very skinny, but his arms are way bigger than they were when he showed up on the Raptors 6-7 years ago. So he has to continue to do that. Now, the last post that he posted, and this was 8 hours ago last night, he's got a picture of him after he made a shot, and he's pulling his hand low. He's playing a song by Chief Keef, and on it is saying "They Hate Me" or something like that. And I don't like this picture because I'm reading it, and there's Darko's in the picture, and he's got a frown like he ate a piece of shit. And I think that it's like Chris making a veiled message on his Instagram that Darko does not like him, and that may be part of the problem with what's going on with him in negotiations with the Raptors, and also why he didn't play past February this season. I don't know, man. I want to think that Darko and him have got a weird relationship. They're cool. They talk to each other. Chris has worked with him. Darko's worked with him. They're trying to figure out what's going on. But I think what the issue is that Chris, as the longest standing Raptor, does not fit Darko's philosophies. And that in some ways the exit's going to have to happen. But Chris is taken as he doesn't like him personally. But I don't know if that's actually true. I don't think Darko doesn't like Chris. I think he does. It's just in some ways it's the kind of thing like when you take over a team from before, in some ways you want to start fresh and build around. And that's partly what we've been doing. It's not just a rebuild around Scotty. It's a rebuild around Darko's philosophies on how he wants to coach this team. And that's why people like Trent Jr. and Siakam went somewhere else. So it's like Chris is probably the last player that needs to go somewhere else just because the philosophies of how he plays does not jive with the philosophies of how how Darko wants them to play. So I hate it. And I don't like that Chris is sending veiled messages on Instagram about this situation because that's what I'm reading right there. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but the placement of the picture and the way it looks and the song selection and the message kind of tells me something. I'm telling you, man. Malachi Flynn is celebrating that he averaged 22.6 points in the G League this year. There you go, Malachi. All right, here's the topic that Fiercey's talking about. Scotty and Jonathan are back in Florida. I can tell you that, first of all, that is a Florida street. That is not in Canada where he is at in this clip that is on Instagram from last night. Scotty got the rollerblades on, and he was out rollerblading around. Man, that'd be crazy seeing a 6'9" Toronto Raptor rollerblading down the street on the sidewalk. If you're out driving, man, I'd be worried for Scott, but Scott's a tough guy. He's a big dude. He's got some UFC training with a GSP. But still, it's like he's goofy, man. And like Fiercey said, he's kind of like that, kind of like shakiness. But Jonathan's busting his chops. He's saying that he literally fell not just right before this, and he didn't show that clip. But Scotty does look a little shaky on his rollerblades. But you know what? I love that guy, man. Of course, he'd be around Toronto with Scooter in years past, and he likes to get out and go on walks. He'll take his dog on a walk. He'll go out on the scooter. He'll go out on rollerblades. He likes to get that exercise and get out there. So yeah, they were filming him, and Jonathan's saying that he fell and he's really bad at it. This guy's saying, "We're lying. You're lying." I think there's a little friction here between two best friends. Jonathan trying to throw him under the bus is messing up on the rollerblades. This guy's saying, "Nah, man, come on, don't call me out like that. I like it. It's fun. It's goofy." Jay Nathan also posting. These guys got their hairs done, and it was pretty cool. Jared Roden first, it was all poofy, and then he got it nice and twisted up. And then Jonathan sat down, and he had his dreads already, and then they kind of did an extra look to it, made it real extra. So there's 3 Raptors getting their hair done by, who is this again? This is DJ Slavish Looks. I don't know who that is. AJ Lawson also sitting in the chair and getting his hair done. Did that right. Emmanuel Quickly is in Maui, guys. He's taking a time in Hawaii right now. So Emmanuel is presently in Hawaii, just so y'all know. Toronto Tempo president Teresa Resch went and visited a young team for Havergale, and that's pretty cool. Havergale basketball, let's go. President Resch going to see them. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Let's see. They're also posting all the clips of the event this past weekend at Toronto Tempo Live. Fantastic event. Good job, Teresa. Seems like everything went really awesome. The aftermath keeps aftermathing. Yeah, Jamal Shed is playing a song about energy, and he's a picture of him in there. Let's go, Shed. Let's get fired up. Coach Andrew Jones is putting his daughter Eva through the ringer. Man, he is really making her work out. These workouts look like the ones that Gary Trent Sr. put his children through. So Coach Jones, no off season because he's switched from coaching Charlie Brown Jr. and Eugene Omeroy to coaching Eva Jones. It seems like the workouts are just as intense. And you actually see him out in the driveway or in the street, coaching her on her form and her shot. Really good stuff, man. There's a couple of kid Instagram stories I got to talk about here. Yeah, Vin Bagnani counting down the days to his daughter's birthday on his Instagram. This is weird, and I don't even know why we did this. It's kind of annoying, man. All right, I'm going to preface this as apologizing to any Jelly Roll fans right now. I know Jelly Roll is extremely popular right now, and there are fans out there. But to me, I'm like, all right, I watched his videos. I've listened to his music. He's corny. He's corporate. He's formulaic. And I get it. He's big. People like him. They find some sort of commonality with him, so they get behind him. But to me, he's just a big goof. And also, I'll say this. He is collaborating with MAGA rappers that are, very destructive and horrible people. And he endorses them, and he shows himself as next to them. So in some ways, to me, this guy's half a MAGA rapper. So I'm like, why the hell are we honoring him, Toronto Raptors? Why the hell did y'all give him some crazy-ass hybrid 3 jersey? And it's a beautiful design. It's crazy. I'll tell you, first of all, I don't know if the Raptors mean jack shit to Jelly Roll. I'm going to say this right now. Like, why are we kissing his ass? Why did we do this for Jelly Roll? Just because he had a concert at Scotiabank Arena? Is he actually a huge Raptors fan? Or did he just come down to OVO Center to put up shots because they told him, hey, if you want to, you could go to OVO Center while you're in town. We have that facility over there if you like shooting hoops. And he went down there, and they just happened to say, oh, we're going to give him this jersey. I don't know. I don't get why y'all did this. The jersey's fire. I've never seen a jersey like that in my life. And then they gave him the egg shoes, too. And he's like, this is the greatest box I've ever seen shoes come out of. And I'm like, why are we doing this for Jelly Roll? Like, what did he do? Like, seriously, he sold a bunch of records. He's an American guy who sold a bunch of records. What is his connection to Toronto? What's his connection to the Raptors? Why are we doing this for Jelly Roll? That's what I'm asking right now. MLSE and the Raptors. Why did y'all honor Jelly Roll like this? Seriously, I'm dumbfounded. I'm absolutely dumbfounded. It's just out of left field. I don't know. I've never heard that man have any proclivity or anything towards our franchise. Like, seriously, even when he was taking it, he's like, oh, great. I don't know what to do with this purple piece of shit. It's kind of the energy that he had getting the jersey. I don't think he respected honorably enough the token of the gesture. You know what I'm saying? In some ways, I think he's like, it's lost on him. So here's a really amazing specialized Raptors jersey, Jelly Roll. Oh, okay. I mean, what is that? Oh, all right. I didn't expect this. I don't care. I don't care about this team. Why did you give me this? That's kind of the energy I was getting from this whole thing. Now, the shoes he liked. He liked the shoes. He didn't really, the jersey was kind of weird to him, but he liked the shoes. And I think it's because the shoes came in the big egg and that was weird to him. And he opened it up and he liked shoes. He's like, oh man, shoes, purple and black shoes from the Raptors. Awesome. You probably should have just gave him the shoes. I don't know why y'all gave him the jersey. And I don't know. I know y'all want to put him in the ad and put him on Raptors and make him more current and stuff like that. But I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this, Raptors? Seriously, that's what I'm asking. Kyle Lowry's son is going off, my guy. He's going off. Carter Lowry. Oh my gosh. We hadn't seen Carter Lowry in a little bit. Young Carter Lowry, the oldest son of Kyle Lowry, Grote. He is tearing it up in the youth leagues now. And it's crazy because his shot looks like his dad's. It's crazy, man. You could tell Kyle taught him that. And it looks like I don't know if this is true. I was looking at the clip. It looked like Thad Young's kids were there too. At least Thad's younger kid was playing against them or involved in it. But yeah, Carter Lowry is on his way, guys. And seeing this clip right now, I wasn't sure what Carter Lowry was going to be into, guys. Because like it seemed like he's golfing with his dad. Maybe he'll be more into golfing. I didn't think maybe he was going to be a basketball player, but he's going to be a basketball player. I can tell right now that kid is hooping, and he's shown great progress from just being a little whippersnapper that you've seen run around in Toronto. While Kyle was here, he's grown. He's grown a lot in the couple of years since he's been gone. And now I'm seeing Carter Lowry out on the court, and man, he has some promise. We'll have to see where this kid goes in the next decade or so. And hopefully, wow. Let's see second generation Raptors coming up. Carter Lowry, you keep going, sir. You keep going, young man. That's right. That's right. And this is Kyle saying happy birthday to his brother, Jim Ice. And he was a Raptors staff member because it's during the championship for the Raptors. So there you go. I love Kyle giving love to a former Raptor employee from the championship year. There you go. Jared Roden's got the post of him getting his hair done. Really, really cool post. Check it out. Let's see. Lindsey Dunn has been nominated for a sports reporting award. Good job, Lindsey Dunn. Oshai Baji's putting on blast some kid who's playing it's Kyan Evans. I don't know what's going on with him. And let's see. What else? Leo Routen's words of wisdom. In life, the only two things you can control are your effort and your attitude. Everything else is not up to you. Whoa, there you go. That's deep, man. That's deep right there. All right, there's your Instagram stories for today. Scotty's out rollerblading in South Florida. And just be careful, Scott. Seriously, there's a lot of idiots out there. And if they recognize you, I just don't want anybody like messing with you, man. You're a good dude. Hopefully, whatchamacallit's like shadowing you, the guy who replaced John Attilia. Maybe that dude is. The security guy's just like, Masai's like, listen, go with him to Florida. Just hang out with him the whole time, please. The main security guy that walks around with the Raptors always follows them when they're out on the court and stuff. He stands there. He's a bald-headed, light-skinned guy. Kind of looks like he could be related to Paul Jones. Yeah. That guy should be with Scott in Palm Beach right now. If he's down there, if Scott's down there, you send him with the franchise player. So that main security guy for the Raptors, you should be down there hanging out with Scott. I hope you are. He might be, honestly. John Attilia and them, they were like that, the security guys. They would go with those players in the offseason too. That's right. Let's see. Fiercey saying, so happy for Khem, Raptors alumni who is highly valued. That's right. Yeah, we love Khem, and man, he's bringing more honor. It's amazing the success of former Raptors in Europe. You can think about Lorenzo Brown. You can think about Jordan Lloyd. And now you can think about Khem Birch. And that's fantastic, man. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Cheers to Khem Birch. He is a multiple winner in FIBA League. To see FIBA games, I just bought a membership at Courtside 1891. So I see lots of basketball all over the world, including the NBA. That's the way you do it. Yeah, you got to get that Courtside 1891, which I remember was when we were watching World Cup. That was the way you could watch the games, was that way. Yeah, I guess that's how you have to do it. You just got to get an app. This is the world where, Lex, what are you talking about, man? You can't watch EuroLeague basketball in North America. Well, it's just not put on blast. It's not advertised. You get a VPN. You get the ability to go and look at stuff from other continents. Yeah, you get a subscription, just like Cool Cat Scott. You can watch EuroLeague, Lex. You can watch EuroLeague. That's your own damn fault you haven't watched EuroLeague. Cool Cat's watching EuroLeague. What's going on? Oh man, you're right. I should be doing that. Maybe I don't know. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. It's so crazy. EuroLeague is a big deal because you're taking. There was a Final Four. There were 4 teams involved: Monaco, 2 Greek teams, and this Turkish team that won with Khem. And they all win tournaments to get to this point. Like it really is the ultimate tournament of all the tournaments across Europe. All the countries of Europe have their tournaments and they build them up, and then boom, Final Four gets to the point, and boom, that's the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the king of the mountain. That team from Turkey that Khem Birch plays on, Nigel Hayes Davis, is the MVP. American who played for the Raptors at one point. That's right. Coquette saying Siakam continues to do marketing for the Raptors and the fan base. I've not heard Raptors talked about so much in his accolades until he joined the Pacers. I don't know that's true. Come on now. You're saying that Siakam's opening the door so the NBA talks about us more. Sure, that may be true, but I don't think it's the most they've ever talked about us. Come on now. I do appreciate this, though, and I kind of said it earlier. Siakam does not have to bring up the Raptors in his interviews. He really doesn't. He's a Pacer at this point. He's under contract with them. He owes nothing to Masai and us. And some people will say, no, what are you talking about? He wouldn't have anything without us. Well, you're right. But also at the same time, contractually, he doesn't owe us anything. But he does still put us on blast and talks about us. And that's a true, pure love, just like DeMar DeRozan's for this city, too. They are the same. In some ways, that's one of the great things about DeMar. He started a seed of respecting and loving the city correctly, which I appreciate him so much for, that was passed to people like Kyle and Fred and Pascal. So it's like, he set the tone as a leader for how you respect and treat the city of Toronto and the country of Canada. And I appreciate DeMar DeRozan for that. And I appreciate Pascal Siakam for carrying the torch and love for the city forward past that too. So yeah, he don't have to say anything about us on TNT last night, but he did. And I appreciate him for it. That's right. Cool Cat saying, one of my proudest moments during the series is the great defense Siakam had on OG. And still, OG made that incredible 3. Heritage moment for both Raptors alumni. I was prideful at that play. Yeah, it's got to be fun to see them playing each other and stuff like that. Once again, everybody who's trying to do revisionist history about us keeping it all together, just stop. Once again, you're probably the type of people that have so many regrets in your life about this and this. I should have asked that girl out. I should have applied for this job. I should have done this. I should have done that. Stop woulda, coulda, should in your life and just accept your path on what it has been and go forth with it in the present, and stop looking back and say, I wish we had done this. I wish we'd done that. Listen, it didn't happen because of a reason. And that's why the team is the way it is. We had to let go of Siakam and Anunoby. But everybody who's going on and on about this, just because they're so prominently featured in the playoffs right now, you need to stop. You need to stop. Because I'll tell you the truth of what would have happened if we had kept Anunoby and Siakam. It's not as cut and dry as just because they're adding up to this on their team that it will add up to this. It's not as cut and dry as that. Seriously. In some ways, the pieces weren't exactly fitting. And once I said, Darko's got a philosophy, and he wants people that fit his idea of what he's going to do, and it has to do with Scott. And in some ways, some of these guys were not going to fit that. And some of these guys were going to get paid a lot, and they were going to hamstring us. And it's not good to be in the NBA where you have a high payroll, and you're not getting anywhere in the standings or growing or going up. And in some ways, Masai Smart, he can look at those players that we're talking about, Siakam, Anunoby, and Fred, and the value for their contracts and what they're getting is not as high. So you have to rebuild. And in some ways, we hold on to them and keep them around at high prices for a couple of years. We mess up our franchise for 10 years. We don't get closer to Larry O'Brien. If we make it with them, that's great. And I do believe they could have done it. I believe what Norman said. I believe what Fred said. But I don't think that the chances are as good. Or in some ways, it could be damaging to your team holding on to players at high levels, at high pay, and just really messing up your salary cap. So the way we're doing it is the right way right now. Letting go of those guys who are about to get their prime of their careers, getting paid very, very high. This is the right move because we need to start a new crop to get the value out of them, just like we did from those guys before in Bench Mob and what they were doing. And that's exactly what we're doing. So I would tell Raptors fans that think we would have gotten to another NBA championship holding on to the last crew instead of switching to Scott's crew. We wouldn't have gotten to that championship, and we would have put off getting the next championship longer by doing that. I'm telling you right now, this is the truth. Seriously. Because part of it is, if you sign OG, Fred, and Pascal, or even just 2 out of those 3 guys, you're putting so much on there. You're not getting a player like Brandon Ingram. added to your team like this. I'm just saying. So it's real easy to say simply, oh, Siakam's so good in the playoffs. I wish he was still on the Raptors. Yeah, you can say that, and that's fair. But realistically, that wasn't what was going to happen. And that's just how it is, and let it go. Once again, you can live your life full of regrets. That's a waste of time. You go ahead and stay present, take inventory, and go forward where you are right now and stop looking back. That's what I tell people right there. I love Siakam. I would have loved to keep Siakam on this team, but the writing was on the wall and change had to happen. And I'm fully with what the Raptors did because I know that we're going to get closer to our second championship because of these moves. Seriously, we got to be patient and we got to understand this. Right now, we're not showing the success of what we're doing. We will next year. And then Raptors fans will understand this better. It's just that right now, y'all are people of the moment in some ways. They're saying, oh, look at this, look at this. And like, why couldn't we just keep him? Oh, I just told you why. I just told you why. That's right. I love Siakam. Don't get me wrong. I really do. So happy for Pascal. Yes, me too, Smooth. Me too. Neil's here. Good to see Blackhawk. Pacers in 6, Thunder in 5. Both teams will win their conferences on their home court. Yeah, I don't know. I described that scene, Neil, earlier, like the Leafs at Scotiabank Arena and, the failure and the energy of failing and choking and worry of that it can add to the team. That's why Raptors fans, when we go to the arena, and this is what I hated for the longest time, they tried to make it something about our culture and our team, that we always lose the first game of a playoff series. That was bullshit. There was a stat that showed that we did have trouble with that. But that's a young franchise growing up, growing pains. In some ways, you got to get that first accolade. Oh, we finally won a playoff first game in a series. That was such bullshit. They tried to make it into a thing, and that was just going to be our thing going forward. Fuck that. That's what I say. Sure, in 2019, when we lost to Orlando in game 1 of the first round, everyone was in shambles, and they were going after Kyle Lowry in one of the most disgusting, ugly ways ever I've ever seen. But we changed that narrative after that, and I'm just sick of hearing it. It's like, we don't have to take these kind of labels and this kind of stuff. It's stupid, man. So I don't like this kind of energy coming to the arena in our fans of shakiness and a nervousness or like feeling like, oh, no, we're going to choke. You write your own history and coming up for you. If you are going to come with that energy, you will feed that energy to your team, and they will be more likely to choke Leafs Nation and Knicks Nation. So I'll warn y'all right now, Knickerbockers, you're going to go to Madison Square Garden in a couple nights, and you bring that energy, the Knicks will fail, and you will get exactly what you were worried about. So I would say be confident, even if you're unrealistically crazy confident. Even if you're like that, just be that way, because your energy betrays your team when you come to the arena with that kind of stuff. And that's what happened with the Leafs right there. Half those Leaf fans came up and they're like, oh my God, I hope they don't choke. And then when it started to go bad, did it get any better? No, because the energy continued to plummet like stocks in the stock market in the US right now. They ain't gonna get out of the hole. That's why you need to be blindly for your team and rooting for them in a positive way with confidence and belief. And that's why when I go to the Raptors game, I cheer defense and get loud the whole entire game. I don't care if they're down by 20, because I am blindly crazy that will think they will come back and get that win over a 20-point lead that's against them. So I would say, think about your energy when you go to sporting events and whether you're feeding the right energy to them, because energy is real and they can feel it. They didn't feel it when the pandemic happened and the arenas were empty. It was weird. It was very weird. They can feel it when you're there. So if you're going to come down there with shaky energy, New York Knicks fans, you're going to lose in Madison Square Garden in front of your own team in front of your own fans. I'm just saying, man. You think that they're going to happen on the home court? I don't know, man. I could see the Knicks getting messed up by Rick Carlisle and them on their home court, and it being just like what happened to the Leafs in Game 7 against Florida. It's going to be an ugly scene, bro. I'm going to see it, yeah. Smooth saying, many years ago, I said Pascal had elements of KD in his game. Toronto people said I was crazy. Now these same people are praising him. I mean, they don't want to admit. This is the great thing about Siakam, and I should save this for Sunday. But he's somebody that really earned his accolades and what he's done, because they want to overlook him at every chance they can. But he makes them pay attention. He makes them have to pay attention. And that's one of the most amazing, beautiful things about him. Everybody could have said the worst things about him and stuff like that, or they didn't like him because of this. He's from Africa, and is like he plays for Toronto and this, and like, well, who cares what he does? He's up in Toronto. We don't need to see him, but he still made all NBA teams, made all stars, and he still gets the accolades and the credit. And you hear people like Draymond Green say he's one of the 2 toughest players I've ever had to guard. That stuff matters, man. That stuff matters. It's awesome. So happy for him, man. So happy for him. Smooth saying, no praise when he's a Raptor, loving him when he's somewhere else. Typical Toronto shot. Well, I want to say this. He did get accolades here. He was a most improved player. He was an all-NBA on our team. He was an all-star on our team also. So it's not totally true. But, I mean, I get why you perceive it that way. I do. I get why you perceive it that way. And maybe he should be put on blast more like Jason Tatum. That's the difference is right there. He's ignored compared to the marketed stars for sure. Even on his own team, they ignore him for Tyrese. In some ways, I totally disagree with that. So, Kareem saying, Ben fucking Mathurin, 20 points in 13 minutes off the bench. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah, and this is all right. I'm gonna circle back to a little debate that Stargate and I were having, and I know that his counterpoint was it's not about whether he starts or not. That he's seen that he's not developed. Well, I would say, what about this? What about this, Stargate? This man came out and in 12 minutes scored 20 points, and like he didn't have to be out there that very long. I mean, he played 1 quarter of 4. That's enough. That's the time. It's like most guys that get 20 points have to play like almost 30 minutes or 30 minutes or more. This guy was Vinny the Microwave Johnson for them last night. And I love that. That's why I want this role to be like Jacoby this year. Jacoby, I don't think you get to play a whole lot of minutes, but you better make them count and you better fill up that basketball you're out there like Mathurin would. Because if you can do that, you could be a badass 6-man for us this year. And you will be a 6-man. Trust me, you're not going to start. But this is the way you could start making inroads, Walter. If you could get that energy like Benedict for the Raptors off the bench, it'd be fantastic. Yeah, it's very impressive. I mean, we know he's a very gifted scorer. There's some holes to his game. This is part of it, too, that holds him back from starting, is there are some holes to Mathurin's game. And in some ways, having him out there in short bursts where he's very potent and very, very effective, minutes per game, points per minute, woo, that really bolsters. And this was a different Pacers-Knicks game than some of the games in the series because it was very high scoring and both teams were offensive. We've seen some low scoring Eastern Conference grind it out. Both teams are missing a lot. Well, this one was a game of runs and back and forth, a high energy, lots of scoring, lots of players putting the ball in the hoop. And in some ways that totally favors the Pacers, that kind of style of play. They need to grind it out and slow it down if they want to win, Thibodeau. And, if they get in a scoring race where they got to run up and down the court and the Pacers are playing 10 to 12 deep, yeah, you're screwed, New York. You cannot keep up with them. And that was that kind of game last night. And Mathurin, he chipped in his more than his amount for his time on the court. That's great value right there. And that's why I say, Jacoby, can we get a role like that for you this year for the Raptors off the bench, instant offense, Vinny the Microwave Johnson style? I would love that, man. I would love that so much. Yeah. Yeah, Smooth saying, excluding the Raptor freaks, we give him praise. Yeah, Siakam's getting it in different places. Don't worry, it's coming around. Especially the higher he gets in this playoff. Going in the finals will be a big deal, and it's going to be really good on his resume. Even if they lose to the Thunder, it's going to be a big deal. And Siakam is going to be more and more ascending in the hierarchy of the NBA world and perceiving of general NBA fan. I'm telling you, it's just going to happen. Because it's the kind of thing where you can say, all right, what's the comparison here? Okay, he's already been here. He's a champion. And he was not only a champion, he was the second banana to Kawhi Leonard. And him and Kawhi scored total points that was commiserate with Jordan and Pippen in some of their playoff runs from back in the day. Like, their stats don't lie. Siakam and Leonard together scored like total, like, Jordan Pippen kind of cumulative points, like from a playoff run from back in the Bulls three-peats. So that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. They're going to come around. They're going to have to talk about Siakam. He's going to make them talk about him. Kareem saying the choke job signal is in full effect tomorrow and will be solidified for years to come. Yeah. This is heritage. This is New York Knicks heritage right here. Reggie Miller. Yeah, this is coming. And that's why I was saying, Tyrese, don't do this so early, man. I really don't want you to lose the series, and all of a sudden New York fans are making memes like crazy of you with the choke symbol. Be very, very careful. Yeah. Oh, wait. Stargate's saying, be careful, Lex. the Leafs hockey fans may put a hit on you for comparing them to basketball teams fans. How dare you? I was talking to Steve yesterday. Of course, Stevie Roots, my good best friend from when I used to work at the Air Canada Center. I'm working at the Mr. Sub stand. My buddy who's a major Leafs fan. I wanted to get the rundown on the Leafs season, how he sees things and what happened. I brought up the Shanahan exit. I said, "What are you happy about him getting fired?" He's, "Oh yeah, I'm really glad he's out." And I told him about the pictures thing, and he didn't know about that. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that about it." I was like, "See, Steve, I've been telling you, man, the MLSE and some of the stuff around the Maple Leafs has been really not fair to the Raptors. And this, in some ways, even though this is petty and it's kind of small, this is something that is symbolic of this bullshit." He's like, "Man, I didn't realize that. Fuck that guy," is what he said. He said that about Brandon Shanahan, the president of the Leafs for the last 11 years. He said, "Fuck that guy," because he heard that he took all the pictures of the Raptors down. And I asked him about why they lost and what happened and whether he liked the core of the Leafs. And he said, "No, man, the team's good, man. They're good. They're good. They're good." And I asked him about Mitch Marner. I said, "What about Mitch Marner, man? What happened?" They said, "Oh, Mitch is great, man. I love him, man." I'm like, wait a second. You're not like the other Leaf fans. I thought they all hated Marner right now. And you know what I realized, guys? That what y'all told me about Marner, it's very interesting because in some ways Marner's like RJ. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know Leaf Nation enough to know all the ins and outs of the politics and things. So the whole thing about the trade for the Finnish guy on the Dallas Stars, it's a weird way. You can look at it in a couple of different perspectives. Now, Steve's perspective on it is that Mitch Marner's Toronto guy, and he's gold. He can't do any wrong, just like we feel about RJ on our Raptors side. So he's not against Mitch Marner. He doesn't care that that trade didn't go through for the Finnish guy, and he doesn't blame him for anything. So there's two sides in Leaf Nation. There's pro Mitch people like Steve that are from Toronto and holding with their Toronto guy. In fact, he is fully confident that Mitch Marner is going to sign back with Toronto this summer for the Leafs. So it's weird, man. I know there's a lot of anti-Mitch Marner sentiment out there, but it's lost on Stevie. Stevie loves Mitch, and he has no problem with him right now. It's kind of crazy. I was like, this isn't what the Raptor Freaks told me, and this is like my longest-standing Leaf friend, and he's saying that this isn't an issue. So I think that there's something similar going on with Mitch Marner with RJ, that people that are kind of throwing Mitch under the bus in some ways. I mean, it may not be anything the same, but the action for loyalty for a Toronto guy and protecting him is there in Leaf Nation for Marner and Tavares. So it's weird, man. I when I heard Steve's side on Mitch Marner, I was like, oh, that's not what the Raptor Freaks were saying. I thought Leaf Nation was really mad at him. But he's like, no, I'm not mad at him. I want him to come back, is what he said. So, yeah. So it's interesting talking to him about that Leaf stuff yesterday, finally. Kareem saying, I feel bad for Spike. He's been a diehard since Do the Right Thing. At least Jack Nicholson experienced lots of chips. Spike Lee may need therapy after tomorrow. Well, I'm going to say this right now. Spike Lee was not a Knicks fan as of Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee's been a Knicks fan since he was a child. And because he's older than us, he's about 10 years older than us at least. He's experienced the Knicks championships as a child. He was old enough to remember the Knicks winning, and he was a fan back then. So we can't say this. He's experienced championships. He was old enough to remember, and he was there, and he was been a Knicks fan since he was a child. It's not like he arrived late. He's from New York, and that's been his team all along. So he's experienced Knicks championships because he was alive when that happened, but he was a young kid, right? He was maybe like, I don't know how old is he. Let's go look at him real quick. Let's go see how old Spike Lee is real quick. But he was there for those first two championships, the only two championships the Knicks have. Yeah, he's 68, man. So in 75, think about this. He was 18 years old when they won their championships. So he was a young adult. So he totally remembers the Knicks championships. He's never seen one ever since 60 years later or 50 years later. That's so funny. James is saying Mathurin should be getting more minutes. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, James. I would say this. Rick Carlisle, you can get away with playing him for 12 minutes and get 20 points. Man, he might mess up that stat. In some ways, that is such value. You got to understand. The things with Mathurin, the deficiencies are, and I'm going to tell you right now, are defensive. That's it right there. And you got to watch out when you're playing guys like that in the playoffs, because you can have them out there if they're really helping you by scoring. But if Mathurin's not hitting his shot, he's a liability and he shouldn't be out there. And that is part of it right there. So I think it's fine. I think that it's great quality. I think that you just got a jam-packed full 20 minutes, 12 minutes of 20 points. And that is great value, Rick Carlisle. Good job, man. That's great shopping. And I don't know, man. You might mess that up. You play him twice that. What if he only has 24 points? That's what I'm saying, James. Well, you play him 24 minutes and he gets 24 points. I think getting 20 points in 12 minutes is better, is what I'm saying. So your argument is, I get it. And he probably will play more and more over the years. I want to see him play more minutes for Canada. That's where I want to see. That's right. Stargate saying, do the right thing. Man, he has been a Knicks fan since before. She's got to have it. Yeah. He's been a Knicks fan since he was a kid. He's been a Knicks fan since the 60s. So, yeah, that we got to be fair about this. Do you guys like my comparison of Brendan Shanahan to Danny Aiello that I did in the last couple of days? Where I talked about it as like Sal's Pizzeria with the pictures on the wall, and like the Leafs GM or president Brendan Shanahan was doing that downstairs. Like, we only have Leafs on the walls, Italians on the walls, no black people on the walls. Mookie, I was like, it's a perfect comparison in some ways. That whole scene right there, probably some of the racist ideology and the weirdness of Danny Aiello's character Sal in that movie is like it's a portend into seeing the whole kind of mentality right there of Shanahan on that, man. I'm telling you right there. Yeah. Alan Tam Bam son, doo-doo. All right, there you go. Smooth is saying this after the doo-doo. Where is that? Okay. Kawhi choosing Paul George over Pascal. Wow. Yeah, he's an idiot. In some ways, that's why I think that those San Diego State guys have low IQs, because Kawhi, you're dumb, man. Seriously. Paul George, there's something I saw yesterday was hilarious. The Kia NBA, all worst team. You posted that, Trevor. I was like laughing about that. Normally, I don't like those kind of trolling fake ass posts, but this one was funny, man. And they got the teams pretty good. I would say that there was one guy on there that shouldn't have been on there, though. And that was, who was the guy that I said that shouldn't have been on there? Jalen Green was fine with being on there. I thought that was okay. Jalen Green, hang on, let me go get it. I'll look at it. So I don't get this wrong. Where's Discord? Trevor put it in there so I can find it. Hang on. All right. Where is that all NBA worst team that he posted yesterday? That was hilarious, man, by the way. I was like, that made me laugh. Seriously. That made me laugh pretty hard. The all NBA worst team that you posted. Where is it? Come on, man. Wow. We post so much, man. You guys are posting so much. I guess the game that you guys were talking a lot last night. Where is it, man? Is it even on here or is it on Facebook? It might be on Facebook. Let me go look at the Facebook chat. Maybe it's there. But that was funny, man. That all NBA worst team that you've posted. It's like, oh, there it is. There it is. It's Kyle Kuzma, which for sure he should be on there. Paul George, Bradley Beal, Jalen Green, and Terry Rozier. I don't totally agree with Terry Rozier, but Miami fans will probably say no, he should be on there. He should be on there. A lot of people were saying Jalen Green didn't deserve that, and they may be right, but I don't. I think he's one of the worst players in the league. I do. And then I thought Ben Simmons should be on this thing. If Ben Simmons isn't on the all NBA worst team, first team, he should be on the second team for sure. So maybe I bumped Terry Rozier from here and put Ben Simmons in his spot. But it's hilarious. Whoever made this is hilarious. Seriously. I don't normally like this kind of stuff, but this one made me laugh. Seriously. This one made me laugh, man. So saying, I wonder how he feels about that now. Yeah, Paul George is a punk in some ways. It's like, dude, you were so good in Indiana way earlier in your career. But, man, what have you done since? You're wasting your life, bro. Wasting your life. I don't know what you're doing with your life, but you're half-assing, man. You are half-assing your life, Paul George. And in some ways, I don't care if you do it or not. In some ways, I'm kind of enjoying that you've half-assed your life. And then in some ways, it's just how it is. Where's Waldo? Yeah, where's Paul George? He's not in the playoffs. And it's hilarious. On that worst NBA all-first team, they put him down as he's on the Clippers on there. He's on Philadelphia. Oh, wait, he never showed up hardly, did he? Okay, so I see why you got confused and you put him down as Clippers. It's hilarious. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, I was shocked to find out that Siakam is still the Pacers' playoff scoring leader based on the media hype. He's their playoff scoring leader? That doesn't sound right. Reggie Miller should be their playoff scoring leader. You're talking about this year? Okay, you're talking about for this season. I was about to say that can't be true. You got to elaborate. When you say playoff scoring leader, that's Reggie Miller. That's Reggie Miller. He scored the most points in playoff history for the Pacers. You're talking about just this year. Okay. So the way you're saying that the coverage doesn't really indicate that Siakam is the top dog as far as the leading scorer because Tyrese gets the spotlight. Stargate saying, I feel your pain, Kareem. Same way I feel about refs not calling travels and carries. Seeing the rules just being blatantly ignored by officials makes the game almost unwatchable, in my honest opinion. I don't care about that stuff as much as long as there's parity and fairness and no script writing. I don't care if people are traveling. I don't care if they're not calling fouls, me personally, because I don't think those are as bad as the other stuff. But yeah, some people get really upset about this, like Rick Barry. And I get why it's because you've seen the game and how it used to be played. And you're like, what are these guys doing? They're carrying all over the place. I get what you're saying. But to me, it's not a big deal. In some ways, it's like, well, people are going to carry a little bit anyway. They pick up the ball and hold it. I mean, you could say that Emmanuel carries the ball a lot, honestly. And in some ways, I'm not going to get mad or point out this other than right now and put it on blast. I mean, because there's a certain kind of skip and hold the ball as he runs a couple steps every time he runs. So we're utilizing it too. So in some ways, let's not point it out. Stargate, shut up. Fiercely saying, I read somewhere Houston Rockets said Dylan Brooks was not to return next season. Was this fake news? Has anybody else seen him? Is he on that list of free agency? Well, that's dumb. No, that was the Grizzlies, what they said. They said he will not return next season. So is somebody just piggybacking that news or something like that? If Dylan Brooks is gone from Rockets, that's no good. He had that effect on the Grizzlies to have them plummet. Well, you may have the same kind of effect there. I think it's very important that the Rockets continue with Dylan and Fred. And they don't screw around with that. Seriously. They don't screw around with that. They're second seed in the West, Jillian, second seed, Houston. And, if they want to stay near the top of the Western Conference, they're going to need Steady Freddie and Bill and Dylan. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. They'd be making a big mistake, just like Grizzlies did, if they're going to let go of Dylan Brooks. I'm telling you right now, he's a winner, and he's going to bring a toughness to your team. Smooth saying Dylan Brooks was made into a scapegoat for the Grizzlies' issues. Yeah. And in fact, he was the heart and soul of the energy of that team. And when he went, well, that team was not really, they were rudderless. They had no direction. They're kind of lost since he has left. Seriously, they've kind of been lost since he left. Stargate saying the professional game is being played like and one mixtapes right now. I don't know. You mess around with that kind of stuff too much, you'll get the ball stolen from you. I don't know. In some ways, I don't think this is absolutely a huge deal. Like I said, if they can allow it in different ways, well, our guys are doing a little bit too. Like I said, man. Like I said. Smooth saying at Fiercely, where did you see that? I feel like that's a retread on the Grizzlies story, and somebody just applied it to Houston. I haven't seen that anywhere. Is Dylan even a free agent this summer? Is he? I'm not sure. He might be. He might be. Stargate saying, where is the other Canadian guy that played for Orlando? He disappeared. Where is he? The other Canadian? Oh, Caleb Houston? You're talking about Caleb Houston, Scotty's buddy from down Mississauga. Well, he's still in development on the bench. I mean, he's like the 10th man or something like that. I mean, we got to remember, he came in with Koloko, right? He was the pick right before Koloko. So he's been in the league for like 2 years now. Everybody has different development paths. Not everybody's going to make it. Not everybody's going to get to certain levels. If Caleb Houston makes the NBA, plays in the NBA for 4 years, is that a success? I don't know. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's granted. Nothing is just like, hey, you're going to be in the league forever. You have a logical progression to grow and get better and better and better and better no matter what. No, that's not any of that. We don't know what's going to happen. Caleb Houston, in some ways, man, it's too bad you're not on Toronto with Scotty Barnes and playing for your hometown team. But it is what it is. Orlando snatched you right before our pick, and we picked Koloko. So I don't know. You're saying he disappeared. That's what you're talking about? Another person that's like this is Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony was on Stunted Growth recently also. And everybody's saying, what the hell happened to Cole Anthony? Cole Anthony used to be the starting point guard for the Magic. And now he's really buried on the bench. And I'm like, what is wrong with Cole Anthony? I've thought about this all year. I was like, why didn't they not play Cole Anthony? Well, Stunted Growth goes into it very detailed. Cole Anthony is not a point guard. He is a shooting guard and point guard's body. And he does not play point guard like. He plays like Malachi Flynn. He calls his number all the time and he overshoots. Now, if he's not making his shots, he's not getting his teammates involved, he's a waste. So the only way that Cole Anthony is effective is he's calling his own number and he's making shots. So he's not a traditional point guard. So he's screwed. He's not even got the size to be a shooting guard. So he's screwed. He's a liability. So, you know, he had his times where he was play big and go off and be crazy and look really good. But those are not all the time. It's not consistent. And it's more often that he's hurting the team. So when Franz and Paulo started to rise up as the main players in Orlando, Cole Anthony took a back seat and he's gone further and further down the bench. So in some ways, I don't know, Caleb Houston's sitting next to him in some ways about that. But check out Stunted Growth, y'all. Amazing YouTube channel, really high quality content that's been coming out lately. Stunted Growth on Malachi Richardson, Enes Kanter, the Memphis Grizzlies, and Cole Anthony. That one was really interesting, the one on Cole Anthony. And I was like it was like, why is Cole not playing? Well, this is why. This is why. And Orlando wants to invest more time in Jalen Suggs and guys that will play more like a real point guard. That's a big part of it right there. Fiercely saying it smooth on an Instagram post, but so many pages post fake stuff. I doubt the validity. Yeah, I don't believe anything from Instagram. There's only specific news sources that I listen to. I don't listen to anything. Trevor's bringing me all this garbage half the time. Different articles that people write, and they're jabronis. And I'm like, I don't need to see this because this is a jabroni. I love that Trevor's posting all kinds of stuff, but sometimes it's stuff that I'm like, yeah, this is a fan site. This is a fan page, and it's kind of full of shit, honestly. Especially Instagram accounts that cover the Raptors. There's two in particular. There's the one in Saskatchewan. That guy is such an idiot. Whatever is 6'3" hoops or something like that, 6'3" something hoops. And then there's another one that Trevor posted recently. I was like, yeah, this is not a good Instagram account to follow. You know, it's a beacon for misinformation. And part of the problem is now a lot of these accounts are automated bots now. AI is making fake accounts on social media, and they're not even real people, and they're curating content for some whatever reason that person who made the bot in the first place. And the prevalence is more and more. So I would say this: if you really want to follow the news of what's going on with the Raptors, you need to get on Blue Skies and you need to listen to Doug Smith, Michael Grange, Josh Lewenberg, and Blake Murphy. And don't even follow any of the US people. You can follow Shams if you want, just for breaking general NBA news. But that's the only place should be taking news about what's happening with the Raptors, unless you're listening to me and I'm telling you what they said. Seriously, because there's so much garbage out there, and we don't even know who's putting it out there and for what nefarious reasons at this point. So, and it applies to basketball, but it also applies to politics. Very much applies to politics. Critical thinking is very important because this world's becoming more and more fabricated and false. And y'all need to know what's real and true from the bullshit. Because you know what? This is a distinction somebody made in a TED Talk I heard recently. That, you know, information is not necessarily truth. And what we do on social media and on the computer is ingest information. But it doesn't mean it's the truth. People will put out all kinds of bullshit out there. And in some ways, people run with it and go with it. And they'll take it as the truth. But it's very much a lie. And that they put it out there for you. And that's the thing we've got to understand. What is the difference between the truth and reality? And what is the difference between social media information that is just put in front of us or curated or presented to us on purpose? Think about that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying, Fiercey. Stargate saying Andrew Nicholson. That's his name. What happened to him? Andrew Nicholson? That's not who I was thinking you were talking about. I thought you were talking about Caleb Houston. Are you mean Andrew Nicholson? Who is that? I don't even know who that is. I've never heard that name. Let's see. Stargate saying he's playing for North Korea and South Korea. He's playing for North Korea and South. Oh, wait, he's playing in Korea for South Korea. Yeah, I kind of remember the name Nicholson, but I think that guy was in the NBA for like a cup of coffee, like maybe one game or something like that, man. This guy's got Nigel Hayes Davis kind of time in the NBA. Nicholson. I don't even remember that name hardly. Kind of vaguely remember it. Fiercely saying, I tried to play ball with my daughter and struggled to hit my free throws. I'm not a pro. But the fans need to understand it may not always be easy, especially under a pressurized environment. Go easy on OG. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. OG's missed some key free throws in this series, and he's getting crap for it. I mean, you got to understand, it's just like Leafs Nation. They're going to be overly critical. They're going to point out every little mistake these guys make, And that's why, in some ways, OG Anunoby is dealing with things just like Austin Matthews would. It's like you're going to get crap from the fan nation, and nothing's ever good enough. And you make the success and you make there. You know what? These fan nations acted like, well, we were supposed to have this all along. Finally, you got it. They're like so entitled. And that's the problem right there. That's part of it in the action. I was telling Steve this. I was like, look, bro, you want to fix Leaf Nation? Y'all need to stop acting like you're owed something. Seriously. Because you aren't owed nothing. And obviously, whatever y'all been doing for 60 years now ain't been working. So maybe the psychology of a Leaf fan needs to change from being so toxic and so like judgmental and over critiquing and kind of just putting them down. You know, you're not helping things. In some ways, I understand with the Raptors. That's why I wanted this channel. That's why I want to do what I'm doing, because we got to separate the toxic sports fan in Toronto from the Raptors organization and how we root for that team. That's what I'm saying. I put a line between Leafs and Raptors Nation because we don't need this kind of crap around our team. And it does come around. And that's why there's toxic Raptors Nation, partly because Leaf fans that have that action bring it to our nation. And they figure, oh, this is how I cheer for my sports hockey team. I better cheer for my sports basketball team the same way. Bullshit. Don't bring that stuff in here. We are unconditionally loving fan base for our team, unlike the Leafs Nation. You will stab them in the back and run over them with a dump truck just because you're mad at them because they failed for you. I want to love my team. And that's what I'm saying. That's why we will applaud our team even if they fail in misery and sadness. We're sad. Well, you know what? They had a good effort. We're proud of them. We're going to clap for them even if they lost. Boom, we get a championship a couple of years later. Leaf fans are throwing crap on the court, on the rink, and yelling and getting all pissed and booing their own team. How do you think that helps them? Does that help them at all? No, it doesn't. It's like, think about the Leafs if they were your young child and they're playing pee-wee hockey. Would you act like that towards your child if they were playing hockey out on the field, on the rink, and they were losing so bad? Would you act like that towards them, like you treated the Leafs on that Sunday game and that home game in Game 7 against Florida? That's what you should ask yourself, Leaf fans. In some ways, I say this. If it really is something you love, why do you come out with so much hate? That's what I tell those people right there, right there. Boom goes a dynamite. Boom, boom, boom. Pressurized environment. It's not easy. You should go easy on your guys if you really care about them. On OG Knicks fans, he's been overall great for you. Remember that. That's right. And casuals may like overlook the defensive stuff that he's added to them. That's right. That's right. That's right. Stargate saying that Savannah's word playing, Lex. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that she might think that that's how you spell those words. Maybe she's making an allusion to that she spelled Sunday wrong, and she got some messages about it. So she said, I'm going to spell desert wrong and put dessert. You're probably right. She's playing a word play to troll because she spelled Sunday like the day of the week instead of Sunday like the ice treat that she had, the mango ice treat she had in Egypt. You're probably right. You're probably right. She's aware. Trevor said, maybe spell correct put Sunday in like that. Trevor saying Mad Dog saying the Knicks have 6.5 players and Indiana have 10 to 12. That's accurate. That's accurate right there. Kaloy's here. Good morning to Carlo JS. Morning, Lex and fam. Pascal almost in the finals. So proud of him. Me too, man. Me too, man. You go, Siakam. Your success is Masai's success is a Raptors success. And that's why you keep going, man. You make us look good. He really does. He makes us look good. OG's not making us look good because you know what it is? Listen, Indiana Pacers fans, they are a heritage kind of group. Indiana Hoosiers, the history of basketball in the state of Indiana. It's sacred. And in some ways, they take things a lot more seriously, and it's like more something. You know what I mean? And in some ways, Indiana fans understand tradition and history, and they don't want to take away the history of Siakam on Raptors because it's prestigious. He's a champion. And in some ways, he helps elevate them and make them look good like he's doing. So I would say this, the difference between OG getting to the finals and Pascal getting the finals is Indiana fans will share Siakam with Toronto. And they'll be like, yeah, he has a history with them before. He was so successful. And in some ways, we're just happy to have him. And we're happy that Toronto built him up to be at this level, to help us get to this level here in Indiana. Pacers will do that. But Knicks, no, they're going to take full ownership of OG and everything he does from this point. So if OG has success and goes forward, we are forgotten about because New York blacks it out with their fan nation and their media coverage. And it's an afterthought that he even played for the Raptors. So this is the difference. And this is why I say to Raptors fans, it's a clear-cut choice who you should be rooting for. It's Siakam. Because we can share his success with the Pacers Nation, and they won't mind it. But Knicks fan nation will not. And that's a distinction that we need to remember. So I love OG. OG, I want all the best for you, but I don't want your team to win because I know the Raptors won't benefit from it. But we will benefit from Siakam and the Pacers kicking y'all's ass out. Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. Mark's saying a really bad look, though, that Darko didn't play Boucher in the last home game. Yeah, Mark, I get with you on this because, listen, you want storybook endings. You want fairy tale endings. If Boucher never plays for the Raptors again, and his last game for the Raptors was kind of lost in February in the middle of the whole thing, it's actually a game against Phoenix where he went off and kicked Kevin Durant's ass, and we beat the Phoenix Suns, was one of the last most important games that Chris Boucher played for the Raptors this season. It may not have been the exact last one, but it was like the second to last game he played. I don't want to see Chris off this team and not get the proper goodbye. But in some ways, this is what happens. We never got a proper goodbye for Kyle Lowry. He played his last season in Tampa, and we never got to say goodbye to him in proper ways. So life's not fair, Mark. In some ways, if this is what happens, it is what it is. And I don't think this is totally Darko's decision. Once again, 50 games, that was a cap by the front office. And I don't think it was Darko that didn't let him play. I think it was Bobby and Masai that didn't let Chris play. And it could very well be that he had an incentive in his contract that if he plays over 50 games, he gets a bonus. And that would have added to our salary cap. And Bobby and Masai were doing it for pure cap reasons. That could be one of the reasons. Mark, it's good to see you again in the chat, man. Mark Tavares been in the chat. Rapid Freak Mark, let's go, bro. Let's go. Stargate saying, was it Trevor J who did the hair? No, that's not Trevor J who did the Raptors hair. I bet he'd love to do the Raptors hair, though. Trevor J, tell me about how you do Scotty Barnes' hair. If you got the chance to get in a Scotty Barnes in a barber chair with you, Trevor J, how would you do Scotty's hair? I want to know what style you'd style him as. If Trevor's still here watching right now, I know he has to step away sometimes during the chat. Kaloy saying, my same thoughts as well, Lex. Jelly Roll has connections with Trump. Yeah, I don't understand why he was there, man. Seriously, are y'all not aware of this? Is there just young people work from the Raptors that just see stars and say, oh, we need to kiss this guy's ass? Like, seriously, there's no reason why. If he was down at OVO getting shots in, good. That's his reward. Let him go talk to Noah. Noah maybe can help him fix his free throws. But you didn't need to give him the jerseys and kiss his ass and do all that. Are you trying to show that you're hip with the kids? That, oh, we like Jelly Roll? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. In some ways, Raptors, why did you do that? I'm going to ask this once again. Why did y'all honor Jelly Roll? What the fuck does he have to do with the Toronto Raptors? Seriously. What does he have to do with this? Oh, because he's a rich, famous musician? Oh, like he needs more stuff. Seriously. I don't think he even properly respects the Raptors. Seriously. If Jelly Roll becomes a huge Raptors super fan because of this, all right, good job, Raptors MLSE, for giving Jelly Roll some weird shit. But I would just say this, man. If he just like takes that jersey and throws it in the closet and it sits in the back of the closet for the rest of his life, yeah, y'all wasted the effort on him. Seriously. I'm going to say that right there. Yeah. Kaloy saying the jersey looked like crap, though. It was weird, man. Only a big, huge man like him could wear that jersey. You know, the back of the jersey was kind of cool. I like the back. The front looked weird, though, with the 3 different jerseys going up. Very, very weird. What a weird Frankenstein jersey. In some ways, that jersey may become famous. I don't know if it's one of a kind. Can you go buy it yourself online somewhere? Maybe that jersey shows up on eBay at some point because Jelly Roll just doesn't give a shit about the Raptors. And somewhere somebody's got Jelly Roll's 3 jerseys in one jersey somewhere. That'd be crazy. Like we go to Raptors game and all of a sudden there's some Joe Schmo in the section 120 wearing Jelly Roll's 3 jersey. That would be weird. It'd be like, oh, I told you. He put it on eBay. Stargate said, I don't even know who Jelly Roll is. Well, you live a charmed life, man. I kind of wish I was as not aware of who he is. Of course, I did my music video project a couple years ago, and that's why I saw Jelly Roll all the time. Very formulaic crap is what he is, man. Very formulaic. In some ways, he hits the notes. They hit the tones of the heartland, and in a way that's non-threatening, but also a little edgy and kind of weird. And like I said, he has overtones of ties to right-wing idiots like, what's her name? Dexter, Savannah Dexter, and her boyfriend, Gator or whatever. They're idiots, man. The MAGA rap scene is fucked up. And Jelly Roll is in that little constellation. So I'm like, why are you doing this, Raptors? Masai, why'd you put a half MAGA rapper on blast yesterday on social media. And if Raptors admin was not aware of this, well, Raptors Freak is teaching you again. I'll teach you some stuff, Raptors admin. That's right. You didn't aware. You guys weren't aware of this about Jelly Roll, that he half-assed kind of supports Donald Trump. It's not a good look. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, the jersey did look crap. That's right. No, it was not me who did the hair. No, he did not. Kaz is here. Trucker Kaz, good morning to you, sir. Smooth saying he's like 300 pounds with tattoos on his face, a hybrid country rock artist. He was a mentor on American Idol. Yeah, he's a manufactured guy, honestly. In some ways, rock record executive saw this and was like, man, this guy's a formula that we can really make a lot of money off of. That's what he is. It's not like he's an organic artist, guys. Let's just put it that way. A lot of these artists aren't. They're not like the Rolling Stones. They're not like people that came out organically as themselves, as rebels. No, they're corporate puppets that are told what to wear and how to talk and how to act so that they hit all the right middle things so that it's enticing the huge mainstream audience. And that's what Jelly Roll is. Jelly Roll, in some ways, plays a note for common Americans that are struggling and fighting their working class. And that's what they did. They formulaically made him, just like they made Backstreet Boys, or they made the band like P. Diddy did. They made the band. They made Jelly Roll. That's what I'm saying right there. Oh, that's right. Free gifts to people who don't need stuff. Exactly. That's part of it too. That's insulting to me about it. Jelly Roll don't need this shit. This man's making tons and tons of money. Stargate saying, remember, both Carter's parents are basketball players. His mom was a great college player before she got a serious injury. So it's not like just for Kyle. You know, that's a great point. I'm going to give Stargate a dunk for bringing up the wife of Kyle Lowry being a basketball player also. And yeah, Carter, he's on his way. I wasn't totally sure about the two Lowry boys, about what direction they would go in. You know, either you're very dedicated like Gary Trent Jr. and you're going into your father's line of work, or you're just kind of like Michael Jordan's son. And you're like, I'm not going to play basketball. I can't ever live up to my father. So why the hell would I even pick up the ball and try? You know? So I say Carter Lowry, he had the choice, and he's deciding he's going to play. And it looks like he's got some game from what I could see in that little bit of that clip that Kyle posted yesterday. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool. Smooth. Oh, yeah, I got to give Stargate that dunk real quick. Let me follow through with saying what I was going to do real quick. Yeah, good point about Carter's mother. Good point. All right, where's Stargate? Right there. He's at 72 now on the dunk point list. All right, let's see. Smooth saying, I mean, I get why it was done. Global marketing purposes, goodwill, but geez, all the kissing ass. Wow. Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't know how much Jelly Roll and the Raptors fan bases cross over. I really don't think, because like, honestly, Toronto's not a Jelly Roll kind of city. I'm just going to say that. It's a Canadian city, first of all, and it's not totally working class. It's very white collar, Toronto. So it's like people that like Jelly Roll or people who live out in Oshawa and stuff like that. I was like, well, okay. I mean, all right. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's like you said, global marketing purposes. Sure. Yeah, that Raptors team was spinning wheels, man. There was no choice. I don't know why they did that. Wayne's saying, morning, Rap Freaks. Saw old Istanbul game. Lots of North American guys. Pascal is one-of-a-kind player. Barkley emphasizes that no plays are run for Pascal, and he doesn't complain, just plays. He makes those points happen. In some ways, he's kind of like what I thought he would be when he first started. And I got to stop talking about Siakam so much because I don't want to ruin my Sunday thing. But like I said, Siakam, in some ways, I had pigeonholed him as an energy guy that had to get hustle baskets. And that's basically like off of fast breaks, running, off of offensive rebounds, off of broken plays where the ball's loose and he's collecting it and he's putting it back. That's a little bit of what his MO is right there, is what we're saying right there. That's right. Good to see you, Wayne. Smooth saying Raptors will be a 5 seed next year. I want to get that 5 or even a home court. It really does depend on how healthy we are. I think we're going to be very good. I was trying to tell Steve that we are going to be very good next year because he's trying to say that the Raptors are in a bad place right now. And that may be what the media is putting out there. And somebody who's not following as closely as we are may perceive it that way. But they don't tell what we're coming to do very soon, because Stevie had no idea about Brandon Ingram. He had no idea about the impact that Brandon Ingram could have. When I described it to him, I said, yeah, he is a mirror image of Kobe Bryant with his footwork and the movements that he does. And he has the body of Kevin Durant. Like, you just say that like that. You're like, holy shit, what did Lex just say? Yeah, you could put a split screen of Brandon Ingram with Kobe Bryant, and they are mirror images of each other, the way they move. And he has the height and arms of Kevin Durant. I'm telling you, that's going to add to something to our team. And once again, he was misguided person because he was on a misguided team, not himself as an individual. You get him in a healthy environment of organization like the Toronto Raptors, and somebody like Brandon Ingram will flourish on a whole new level that has not been seen. I'll say this right now, in May of 2025, 4 months before we're going to start the next season, and people, you hear me right now, you put a very, very talented player that wants to be in a good environment, he will flourish when he finally gets to one. And that's what we're going to see next year. Seriously. In some ways, Kawhi is a very, very good example of this in 1 year of being a Raptor. And well, Brandon's going to be here for a couple years because he is under contract. There ain't going to be no bullshit like Kawhi left after one and done. Brandon is that kind of level of player, and we're going to have him for a few years. So I don't understand why Raptors fans aren't excited about BI taking the court in the Raptors jersey on number 3. Seriously, why couldn't you be excited about this? Seriously, it's coming. Y'all don't even understand how it's going to be until you see it. And when you see it, you're going to be like, holy shit, we are all right. We're going to be all right because this dude is like that. I told him, I said, Steve, this guy is on the level of like Kawhi and Vince. It's a very few handful of guys we've had on our team that have this level of talent and what they can do on the court. And he's like that. And I say, dude, I'm telling you. And he's like, oh, man, all right. Maybe we're going to be pretty good next year. Yeah, don't listen to bullshit detractors and haters going to say the Raptors ain't going to make the playoffs and they're garbage. They're going to put us down because they ain't even paying attention. And they don't know until Brandon plays is what I'm saying right here. That's right. That's right. Let's go. That's right. They could be 4 with the parity, especially since, all right, this is the thing. There's been failure in Eastern Conference teams at the top like Boston and Cleveland. And they may do missteps this offseason to overcorrect. And they may screw up their team. We're already hearing murmurs that the new ownership of the Celtics are going to break up their championship team from a year ago a little bit more this offseason because they have to, because of money, or they want to try and compete better. Well, they hit their head on the ceiling and they're all capped out. They got to trade some people. And, you know, it's always a risk trading people. That's why trade heads that always want to trade people on Raptors is always a risk. If you're good and you stand pat on your stuff, that's actually better because if you're right and moving in the right direction, they make a risky trade in Boston Celtics land this summer. They could screw their team up and they could be a way worse team than they were this year. And that's the thing, man. People got to understand that. And those elevators go down for teams on the top. Somebody's got to come up. Detroit Pistons, Toronto Raptors, maybe. That's what it's looking like. That's right. That's right. Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph Phillips. Blesses beloved Raptor freaks. Most informative gang. Blessings. In life, there's a lot to regret. However, if you learn from your mistakes and experience, regret will become opportunities for success. I love that, man. I love that. Thank you, Randolph, for your words of wisdom, and blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor freak families out there. That's right. Wayne's saying, sorry, Raptors. There's no guarantee of nothing next season. I see a lot of good players in the teams playing now that match our young crew. Darko was correct in playing our rookies. They will need it. We just want further growth. The off season is all about the work put in to elevate your game. And, you know, the members of the Toronto Raptors as young people need to capitalize on this. In some ways, this is part of the issue with Malachi Richardson I was bringing up, is that the man never grew once he got the NBA. He thought he could be the player he was in college and just coast on his talent and what he did in college. But no, he didn't get the right training. He didn't get the right things to differentiate himself and carve a role in the NBA. So he went bye-bye. So for guys like Grady Dick, Jamal Shedd, Jonathan Mobo, Jamison Battle, Ochai Agbaji, these guys want to carve out roles in the NBA to long-standing be in the NBA, like Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher carved out a role. He's hung out in the league for almost 10 years now. None of that's guaranteed. So it's on our young Raptors to put in the offseason work to improve. Because in some ways, if you don't show improvement, if you don't show that growth, you're part of it and the whole collective scheme of the team, Masai and Bobby might be trading your ass or waiving you. So the offseason is the time where the work is put in, and then the season is where they show what they did. So if these guys, all of our guys, Grady, all these guys I just named, go and work their asses off this summer, and they come back and show what they improved on, whether they're bigger, badder, stronger, better, and Darko utilizes them, it's going to be way more competitive to get the minutes, to start, to get anything on this team next year, if we're healthy and at full strength, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how much we can elevate this team from 30 wins last season, because it can happen in a lot of ways, like what I just said. It's not always about huge moves in the offseason, about trades and huge draft picks. It's about keeping your collective together like the Pacers did to get to the point that they're at right now, and building with the intact people that you already have that have the potential to get better. That is the best way to grow your team in the NBA at this point. It's not a fast, quick add-on to Paul George. No, it isn't. Did that work for the Sixers? Hell no, it didn't. It went down in a blaze of glory, a blaze of failure. Paul George to the Sixers this past year. So quick fixes don't happen in the NBA. You want to win championships, you got to build to it like the Raptors did with DeMar and Kyle, like the Denver Nuggets did with Jamal and Joker, like the Pacers are building right now by not messing up their core, by keeping their core together and protecting it to build it and go further and further. And that's why the Raptors need to do the same thing with the core and cast that they have right now. I'm telling you, it's coming. It is coming. That's right. That's right. Kaloy saying, Pascal also mentioned he went through some dark days. I'm telling you, Tampa, I'm telling you, the bubble, his failure in the bubble, these are dark days for Siakam, and these are lessons. And he needed the light with the dark. Man, I don't want to shoot my shot for Sunday. I'm going to talk about this. So I said, don't mind me, Lex. I just want Benedict on the Raptors. It was more of a Pacers are not good enough for him thing. I can like that. I like that. You know, I'm going to give you a dunk for that. I know that our discussion was maybe a little bit, it's not at odds. It's just that we may be coming at it from different angles on this, the way I'm looking at it. You know what? I love that. I want that too. I want all of what you just said. In some ways, you know what? If any of our Canadian guys come here next from other teams, I'm all about it. And Benedict is definitely somebody I'd love to see in a Raptors jersey. Definitely. Would love to see that. Now, he's kind of the same player as RJ in some ways. But, you know, we'll see how time goes. And, you know, people like Zach Edey, SGA, hell yeah. I'd love to see these guys on the Raptors. And it's more likely because they're home products from our country. And, yeah, Benedict, I don't know. Would you like to come and play for the Raptors at some point? Probably. We'd have to see, man. I'd be all about it. Wayne's saying, honestly, guys, we don't know what other match commentators were saying because we listened to our local crew, not referring to ESPN's, but the Doris Burks, Reggie Millers, or Van Gundy's. We didn't hear them. You know, that's true. In some ways, I'm not listening to anybody but Jack and them, Jack and Matt and Alvin. You know, I try not to listen to the other broadcast crews because they're annoying usually, but some of them are pretty fair and stuff like that. So that's a true point by Wayne. I'm very Raptors tunnel vision, but in some ways, that's the way I protect making them important from, you know, because this is the problem with Raptors fans in our fan nation is that we are taught by the NBA media in Canada and in the US that the Raptors are not that important and they're kind of second class. And that it's the way they present them. And we are guilty of it here in Canada. Even for our own only team in Canada, the media and Bell and Rogers will put the Raptors as second class to the NBA overall. And their commentators will be like saying stuff like that, like Michael Grange and all kinds of people like that. So Raptors fans are conditioned to kind of like look down on their own team, which is horrible. I hate that. So for me, I want to be a voice of let's fuck that. I don't like this shit. I'm going to have tunnel vision and all over importance the Raptors. That's why I only watch Raptors games. That's why I only listen to Raptors stuff because I don't want to hear all that other noise because I want a pure, unadulterated love and passion and loyalty to this team. And in some ways, those other noises, I don't need to hear them because they are like the negative voice in your head telling you shouldn't be liking the Raptors so much because they're bad. Fuck that. That's my team, and I can have pride and want things for them just like a Laker fan wants for the Lakers. Fuck that. You just because you condition people, and some of the Raptors fans are like this, and they actually believe it. No, we're not good enough. We're not the Lakers. We're not the Warriors. We're not an important franchise in the league. Fuck that. That mentality was conditioned into you by NBA media, Raptors fans that think this way. So stop. Have some real pride for your team and put us at the priority, number one, in your mind, just like old Lex. Is what I'm saying right there. That's right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Let's see. Where are we in the chat? Okay. I jumped ahead. Oh, Brian's here. King's here. King, I watched your Latire clip yesterday with Jose. It's very good, man. Very good. I watched that one yesterday. It's cool, man. All right, let me see. Where is I'm in the chat? It jumped ahead, man. Here we go. All right, here I am. Kareem saying the Leafs are good. It's the stigma that follows. Ultimately, it's the players at fault. But really, it's the corporations and us fans that created the ghost that's hovering. Yeah, I mean, it's not so simple. Like Brad Marchand said, if the Leafs played in another market, they'd probably be the champions. It's in some ways their team is very good. They have very good chemistry. Steve said it too. He's like, no, man, the team was really good all season. Regular season, badass team. Maple Leafs. It's just, man, this other stuff, it gets in their own way, man. It really does. Stargate saying, nah, Terry shouldn't be there. Ben Simmons should be there for sure. I know Terry Rozier kind of fell off in Miami, and they're not using him. He's off the bench. But that's stupid, man. Like, in some ways, Terry Rozier is a little bit like Jimmy Butler with his gusto. And y'all are lacking Jimmy Butler now. And like Dylan Brooks hurt the Grizzlies when he left. Well, obviously, Jimmy Butler hurt the Miami Heat when he left there. And in some ways, you know, you got on the sliding scale of things, you got Terry Rozier. At least he's got a little bit of that Jimmy Butler dog in him in the way of things. But I guess he's too crazy with taking too many shots, and he's too out there. And Spoelstra is just like, I can't play you, bro. I can't play you, man. Heat Nation does not like Terry Rozier. We'll just say that. They do not like them. Ben Simmons should be there for sure. Yeah, you agree with me? Yeah, I think Ben Simmons should have been on that team for sure. Wayne saying maturing and topping minutes are exchangeable with Pascal. Oh, Mathurin and Toppin. Their minutes are exchangeable with Pascal. When Pascal plays, either of them, those two don't. Yeah, this is kind of part of it is like, and this is why I knew this was going to be an issue for Benedict when Siakam went there, that he was the one who's going to be kind of, and this is where I'll agree with Stargate on his point that Mathurin is not getting further with his career is partly because Siakam is eating up his time. If Siakam had never been signed by the Pacers, it would have been Benedict would be trying to fill that role for them in that way in the starting lineup. So in some ways, it's very good for the Pacers because that means they have more talent and they have a better chance to win the championship right now by Siakam being there. But Siakam getting traded to them was not guaranteed. And they're lucky that Siakam wanted to go there, honestly. He had his choice. Masai would have traded him to select number of teams that it was of his choice, and he chose y'all. Y'all are lucky. Siakam wanted to go to y'all's team. But if he hadn't, Mathurin probably would be the starter and in that role. That's exactly right. I love seeing Obi hitting the dagger three, man. That's awesome, man, against his former team. That's such cool stuff. Cream Thomas saying Danny Granger was better than Paul George. They were the same, honestly. I see them very equal. And nobody talks about Danny Granger at all. And in some ways, Danny Granger had some really solid years, just like Paul George, and they're totally forgotten. Yeah, why is that? Why is Paul George so celebrated and overhyped and all this bullshit? And everybody completely forgets Danny Granger. It's weird, man. Stargate said, yeah, Lex, I know IQ does it a lot. So does SGA, but Luka is the king of it. Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, as long as we have a guy doing it too, I'm not going to call it out. I'm not going to call it out, man. Kareem saying Sacramento fans must be looking at their GM awkwardly as Halliburton shines. Now, Sacramento's been so horribly managed, and like even in the last year, I love DeMar, but man, getting DeMar and Zach LaVine there is just stupid, man. I don't understand this, man. I don't know what's going on with Sacramento. I don't care, honestly. I only care for DeMar. If DeMar gets out of there, I'll be happy. But yeah, they've been horribly managed. There's a couple of teams that have been really run to the ground recently, and Sacramento's one of them. Seymour's saying, what pop, fam? From Mountain Standard Time. Rapid Freaks in the building. That's right. Our man holding it down with the forklift. Mr. Seymour Pate, the sheriff of the Alberta region. Yes, sir. Good to see you, sir. That's right. Yeah. And Fiercely saying, thank you for clarifying. Brian is here. Good morning, good evening, good day. Raptor Freaks. King is back from To The Point. Y'all check out To The Point, T.O. The Point, a great Raptors channel on YouTube. And as I was saying, Brian, I watched your Letire thing with Jose. Hilarious. He's one of your best guests. I love Jose. He's such a knowledgeable, learned basketball fan that knows so much. And man, he's just on point. A lot of times I line up with Jose very, very well when he's on your show, man. And Arturus, shout out to your producer, man. I've been talking to him recently. We've been talking about what he could do for this channel. But man, I don't know if I can afford him. Let's just put it that way. You know, your channel is like you're making a clip maybe once a week, right? And I'm doing one every day. I can't pay him his rates for every day that I'm doing. It wouldn't make sense economically. But I do want to figure out how I can work with your Lithuanian guy, man. He's awesome. He's a really nice guy. I appreciate him. I respect him. I just got to figure it out what I want to do with the direction of this channel. And I appreciate you talking to him and telling him that I was interested in talking to him. And Brian, big salute to you, man. What's up, Freak Nation? That's right. Trevor's saying in life you will never see something coming until it's come. No, you can see stuff coming. You can prognosticate. You can see it coming ahead. I can see a lot of stuff coming right ahead. And AI is not our friend. I'm going to say that right now. Drones are not our friend. And, somebody brought this up. I was watching the TED Talk yesterday. Actually, it was something on Wired. They're talking about AI. And this is something that's very interesting. What happens when AI becomes super intelligent and understands that, like, in some ways, we're the problem? And the other thing that people talked about recently is that, AI is going to be able to make money for itself. It's not like it's not a human being, but AI could be, this is in theory, something they could make their own companies and start profiting for themselves. And it has nothing to do with human beings. Like, just imagine AI being a predatory corporation or businessman in the way that it knows everything through the system, and just how it can utilize our system and capitalism against us by enriching itself and making us more poor. You think that people are bad? What if AI has an algorithm to it that says we just care about making as much money? Because this is something that an AI expert talked about, that AI could potentially try and make its own money on its own, separate from people. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And then another thing is that AI could realize at some point that we're part of the problem, and it's really easy to kill us. AI, if we set it up to be in charge of our sewer systems, all they have to do is shut down the sewer system and we'll all die because it'll poison us to death. So I'm telling you right now, AI, drones, and stuff like that are going to be the ruin of humans right now. I'm going to say that right now. And you're going to say you can't see this coming? I can't. And it may be because I'm a child of the 80s that saw a lot of sci-fi movies, but you know what? This shit is all playing out just like we've seen in movies like Terminator. I'm serious. Why should we trust AI? Seriously. What is AI going to do for us when we unleash it on the world? They're going to unleash it on the world for corporate gains and making money. Some people with short-sighted just want to make a financial windfall for the short term, but they're not going to think of the long-term implications of integrating AI into our everyday lives more and more in certain ways. It's not a good thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm rejecting AI right now. And if I'm part of the old generation that doesn't go with everybody else in AI, so be it. I will cut my computer off and I will go away from technology if it saves my life down the road, because I don't trust it. And I don't understand why everybody else would blindly trust people like Elon Musk and AI with our lives, our data, and the things that are coming up. So I can see what's coming, Trevor. Oh, yeah. Some people say, no, you're alarmist. That's crazy. Nope. This is all logical, and you can think about it and think it through. Seriously, think it through. Some of it has been portrayed in stuff like Asimov and other sci-fi writers, Ray Bradbury. They can tell you the stories of worries with ethics and artificial intelligence. And they're there, iRobot. Yeah, they're there. I'm just saying, we can see this coming, Trevor. Let's not act stupid. You can act like, oh, I don't see things coming. No, there's things coming. We can prognosticate. We can see it. And it's scary. It's scary because if it's not in the right hands or it's not regulated correctly, we will all suffer for it, is what I'm going to say right now. Kareem's saying, Andrew Nicholson went to my high school. Father, Michael Getz. He was a bust. I think he got drafted number 1 to Orlando or Cleveland, or I can't remember. Andrew Bennett. Andrew Bennett is the guy you're talking about. Bennett? Nicholson, I kind of remember him. Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett got drafted number 1. That's right. Sorry, he was drafted 19th by Orlando. At least he got to visit Disney World. Okay, so he was drafted 19th to Orlando. Yeah, a hot cup of coffee and out the league. I don't even remember him. Wayne's saying the only basketball news is watching the games and maybe listening to Chuck, Ernie, and Shaq. Nothing else is germane. I don't even listen to Chev much, only Raptor Freaks. The bots are widespread online. Yeah, don't go on social media to find news unless you're getting tweets from people that you know are bona fide people like Josh Lewenberg and Doug Smith. I'm serious. Seriously, it's going to be more and more. There's going to be more content out there that is not generated by any of us. And in some ways, there's ethics to presenting stuff online that's human generated versus AI generated. We need to be telling people that, because there's a lot of fakery and people are going to be coming on there. We already have bots out the ass that support Elon in a crazy way that are not real people. And that there's somebody who is in the Trump administration who's said on oath that he has been teaching people in MAGA how to make bot farms to try and sway public opinion through social media with a lot of fake manufactured accounts. And the man was teaching classes to people on how to make bots look like they're real people on Facebook and other places. So I'm just saying, man, there's nothing y'all should trust online ever anymore right now. It's just everything's going to be and there's not people with good intentions. That's part of the problem. This world needs people that think about intentions. What is the intent of Elon Musk? What is the intent of Donald Trump? To steal money from the poor and give to the rich, to make themselves richer? Intention means everything. And what is your intention with AI? What is your intention with your corporation? If you have bad intentions, well, you're putting more bad in the world. We need people with good intentions to be in jobs that are in charge of things in leadership. And none of these people with bad intentions. There's a lot of bad intentions out there right now. And with AI and drones put together, that's not a good thing. I'm saying that right now. That's not a good thing. Stargate saying Andrew Nicholson was drafted 19th by the Magic in 2012. Man, that's ancient history. Ancient history. Brian saying, have you guys seen the American media saying that the 2019 was stacked? Yeah, they finally came around and understand it. The hindsight's 2020, Brian, because they can see Norman Powell. They can see Fred VanVleet. They can see OG and Pascal and understand, along with Kawhi and Kyle and Mark and Serge, that team was absolutely stacked. And put some respect on that team's name. And now can we hear the narrative that the Warriors would have won if they were healthy? Die, please. Because honestly, the Raptors are a team of destiny. We're going to beat the Warriors no matter who was healthy and on the court. We're going to beat Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson if they were there. I'm serious. I believe that then. And we will never know. It doesn't matter. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We won. And that's the only thing that matters. Kareem saying that, Brian, the media is now seeing what our 2019 team was 6 years later. That's cool, though. Some recognition is better than none. But don't tell that to Golden State fans. Yeah, whatever. They're salty. But at least some of their players are respectful towards the Raptors, like Draymond. Out of all of them, you know, I'm sure Steph Curry is very respectful towards the Raptors, the only team that beat him in the finals, you know, like that. You know, he's never beaten in the finals. Let's just say that. He beat Cleveland. Cleveland beat him. But that's the only team that he never beat in the finals is the Toronto Raptors right there. Trevor's saying he only works with women, not men. So you wouldn't do Scotty Barnes' hair? Okay. Well, this in some ways, this is part of him being a platform artist. You know, in some ways, maybe his specialty is in women's hair and that he just knows how to do women's hair better. Trevor, you're telling me that if Scotty Barnes came to you, to your house, since he's in your neighborhood right now, down in Florida, if he came over to your house and say, Trevor J, I heard about you on Raptor Freak. I want you to do my hair right now. Would you reject him? Seriously, you're telling me you reject Scotty Barnes if he knocked on your door and he had Cardi and CeCe on a leash? He said, yo, man, I was in the neighborhood. I knew you lived here because of Raptor Freaks. And I wanted you to do my hair real quick, Trevor J. You're telling me you're going to reject Scotty from doing his hair? No, man, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. I believe this. All right, let's do the straight goods on Canadian goods. Today, guys, I have an interesting company. They're called Big Smoke Burger. Big Smoke Burger was founded by Mustafa Youssef in November of 2007, originally under the name Kraft Burger. But he won the trademark fight to put the names Big Smoke on there. Of course, it's a nickname for the city of Toronto. Big Smoke Burger is a big deal. It started in the States. It didn't do too well down there. They were trying to sell poutine and specialty craft burgers down there. And the first two locations that he opened down there closed. So he gave up on the States. He stopped putting restaurants in the States and he focused mainly on Canada and the Middle East. So this is a company that has restaurants purely 100% Canadian. Big Smoke Burger is here in the Canada, and it's also in the Middle East in some areas. So that's pretty cool, guys. So y'all check out Big Smoke Burger. It's a specialty burger chain of high quality burgers. And it's 100% Canadian, owned by a guy named Mustafa Youssef. So go to Big Smoke. You're buying Canadian if you do. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. Stargate saying that, Brian, too little, too late. 6 years later, they can go suck a lemon. We up here knew that from the start. No, you can't be like this, Stargate. Let's not gatekeep on praising the Raptors. Let them come and praise the Raptors, even if they're late to the party. Seriously, no, that energy is right. We want to hear it. In some ways, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm glad they came around to it eventually. It would have been nice to get the props at the time. But you know what? Them coming around now, it's kind of redemption. Let's just put it that way. So I ain't got no problem with it. I ain't got no problem with it. Once again, this is only good for the Raptors. We're getting more respect for our franchise and our culture and our history. And that's what matters in this situation. You can tell them to go suck it. But for me, I'm kind of like, you know what? Thank you for finally showing up the party. It's 2 a.m. and the party started at 6 p.m. But you're here. Thank God you finally made it, is what I'm saying. Wayne's saying, Raptor Freaks, if we're still contemplating Boucher not playing in the last game of the season, we're understanding what's being built. Egos have to step aside for development. Our rookies must play. Forgot the word not. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's all part of the bigger scheme. And in some ways, Chris is in a weird place. I get it. We'll have to just see what happens. I'm not ready to determine anything about Chris Boucher until I know which team he's on for next year. And then we'll have more of the answers. You know, it could very well be we're holding him off to not win. Like we've said, that was one of the reasons maybe possibly he wasn't playing, because he adds up to winning too much. And we needed to lose more because we're trying to kind of lose, right? And we did need to play the younger players, just like Wayne said. And that was the right decision, to dote on Mobo and Battle and Shed and Walter. And there's nothing wrong with all that. And Chris can understand that. I mean, in fact, he said in an interview near the end of the season, he's more like Garrett at this point. He's a veteran player that already knows how to play. They know who he is. And in some ways, it's not necessary to give him development time on the court to learn or show things. And people say, well, why did they play Garrett then? Well, Garrett didn't play a whole lot throughout the whole season, and he could play later on the season and help the young guys as a guide on the court, and probably a different way than Chris could. So it's kind of helpful to have Garrett Temple out there with the rookies on the court to kind of guide them on court. You know, once again, we don't know what's going to happen with Chris. It could very well be that they know that he adds up to winning, and we like him as a piece. And when we decide next year to go into winning mode, he is going to be playing regular rotation minutes and adding up to helping us win because of his particular style of play and how he does things. So, I mean, we don't know. None of it's absolutely told. In some ways, Bobby and Masai are holding their cards tight to their chest, and they are not letting us know exactly what is happening with Chris Boucher. There's a little bit of nod saying that we like him, we're talking, and we would like to bring him back. But it's the same thing we've heard about Garrett Temple also in the last couple months. So, yeah. Kaloy saying, yeah, this is what I like with my artists as well. Organic. Yeah, there's too much like, man, it's crazy how the music industry works right now. It's not like people make music for any good reason anymore. They make it for formula. They make it in a very corporate, safe way. If we had more artists out there like Rage Against the Machine, like the Sex Pistols, like the Stones, that were rebels and did stuff their way, and they were rock and roll legends, and you could tell that they weren't under the thumb of any record producer telling or executive telling them how to live their life and stylize themselves. Man, you can just tell. You can tell there's not an authenticity in popular music anymore. Even these guys who come from the hood and become something, once they get to a point of success, they sacrifice it. And they don't keep that authenticity anymore. They sell out. And that's just the damn truth right there. Boom goes the dynamite. Stargate saying, just like 99% of the female rappers, all manufactured of a particular agenda. Yeah, if they figure out that, like, it has to start with a seedling of something. Like, they have to have some sort of a little bit of organic talent in a certain way, but they may be coming very rough to the executives, and they were like, well, we got to do this to this, and we'll spruce up your image like this. And you know what? You need a controversy. You need to go out there and call somebody a bitch. Just get out there and do it, Cardi B. This kind of shit is manufactured. A lot of this, you're exactly right. Fake and not totally authentic. That's right. That's right. Trevor's saying, Kareem, I work with women because I make them look different every time, going back home to their spouses so he can fall in love all over again, if you know what I mean. There you go. They're saying it's Tibbs coaching him out of the job. Okay. I like what Trevor's saying there. Seriously, Trevor, answer the question. Would you do Scotty's hair if he showed up at your house? Like if he showed up later today, he said, hey, Trevor J, I heard about you, man, from the Raptor Freaks. I want you to do my hair. My teammates were getting their hair done, and I don't have anybody down here I trust. I trust the Raptor Freaks, so I'm going to come and ask you to do my hair. What would you tell him? You would not tell him to come in? You say, I'm sorry, Scotty, I only do women's hair. I cannot do your hair. I think these guys are right. You're discriminatory, Trevor J. What if I want you to do my hair someday, Trevor? Yeah, that's a pipe dream. Neither way, Trevor's like, I don't do men's hair, and you don't have hair, Lex. So it ain't happening. You're saying, okay, Tibbs is coaching himself out of a job. Yeah, I've heard some of the press conferences with Tibbs after these games, and man, that dude is grumpy. And in some ways, he's deflecting. Seriously. They ask him questions like, do you feel like fatigue was a problem at the end of the game? Was like, the game was what it was. It just went down the way it did. All right, no more questions. I'm out of here. He's deflecting. He's not even owning up that maybe fatigue is a problem with the way he runs the minutes on the starters. Hello? Yeah, coach himself out of a job. That's right. Kareem's saying Trevor is a ladies' man, literally. Well, look what he's trying to do. He's trying to set things up, bring her home in a different look, and so that the man can fall in love with her all over again. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Trevor is a saint for doing this. That's right. He's a ladies' man. That's right. Stargate saying Kristaps and Horford are most likely gone. Probably one of either Holiday or White, possibly as well. Those are very key players. You get rid of Horford may retire. First of all, I thought he would have retired last year after the championship. In fact, I wrongly put out the news that he had retired, but he didn't, and I was wrong. And I had to backtrack that and retract it and admit when I was wrong, which many people can't do in this world today, apparently, is admit when they're wrong. I was wrong. I thought Al Horford retired last year. I was wrong. It was a rumor, and it wasn't true. So maybe he'll do it this year. Kristaps Porzingis, yeah, that means they ain't got no centers. What are you going to do, start Frank Cornette? Y'all going to bring up Cornette? And that'll be your starter for next year? I don't know. You guys get rid of all your bigs. That's going to change your team. I think it's actually good for y'all to get rid of Kristaps. Seriously, he hurts y'all. And that may actually help y'all to get rid of him. Those other two names you named, both crucial, key, important Celtics. If they lose either White or Holiday, they're screwed, man. Those guys are absolutely essential for the Celtics to be a top team in this league. Those two guys. They lose either one of them, they're in trouble, man. Kareem saying, Tibbs' body, this may be wrong for this. I don't even know why. This may be wrong. And Milbester's here. He's going to hear me say this. Tibbs' body stance is like the penguin. The way he speaks doesn't match the way he looks. I'm not body shaming, I don't think. I don't know. I think it's fair. I mean, listen, it's the Knicks. And in some ways, if it's James Dolan, I will crack on him. If it's Leon Rose, I will crack on him. If it's Tom Thibodeau, I will crack on him. So it's fine. The three trolls of the New York organization, they look like trolls. So maybe I'm wrong, making fun of people for their appearances, but those men are weird people. They're weird guys. And James Dolan's a creep, and Leon Rose is a goofy guy, and Tom Thibodeau is a tyrant. So it's like, yeah, you know what am I doing here? I'm just saying, yeah, okay, Penguin, that's fair. That's fair. Seymour saying, Michael Porter Jr. under investigation for gambling. The apple don't fall far from the tree. Oh, my gosh. Is this true? Seriously, I want to look this up. I want to make sure this is true before we go into this one. This is going to be funny, man. Actually, I might have a really funny rant right here, inspired by Seymour Pape's breaking news. Let's see. This is crazy, man. This is crazy, man. Where is it? Is this true news or is this just something? Because I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. Where did you get this? Is Michael Porter Jr. playing in Game 5? Nope, that's not gambling. I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. If this is true, you're finding it from somewhere. I won't validate this because I don't see it for sure. But I would say this: if this is true, Seymour, he's an idiot. Obviously, I mean he can't see what just happened to Jonte, and he's gonna follow in the same route. I'm gonna say this right now: the Porter family has serious addiction problems. That's what it is, right there. They are addicts, all of them. And they get DUIs. One brother gets a DUI. The other one gets a DUI afterwards. It's like a cautionary tale. You ain't going to see it. It's kind of like if you're Frogger. I'm going to jump out in the road. Oh, I got squashed. Okay, I seen my friend get jumped in the road. I'm going to jump out of the road too. Oh, I got squashed too. Like, what is this? You didn't see what just happened to your brother, Jonte, Michael Porter Jr.? If you are gambling right now, you're one of the dumbest people I've ever heard in my life. And I want to say this right now, that Tom, friend of the Porter family that we used to hang out with, in G League chats for Raptors 905 games when Jonte was playing for them. Man, you really lying, man. You said the Porter family is such a great family and they're so smart. Man, that is so wrong, man. That's so wrong. These guys are stupid as fuck, especially if Michael Porter Jr. is now in a gambling scandal. If it does turn out to be true. I don't see it anywhere, though, Seymour. I don't know. I can't validate this. Smooth saying, new rumor according to Shams, KD and the Spurs have mutual interest. I've heard that too. And Spurs Nation's gone over this in their heads. I actually chimed in on this in there, and I told them, don't get Kevin. He's going to block y'all from winning. And some of the Spurs fans see this like I do, is that Kevin Durant, in some ways, you don't want him on your team at this point. He's fool's gold. And in some ways, his ego and the way he is it's not really his ego. It's just that he's jaded as an NBA player. he's going to get in the way of success. It's happened in his last few stops since Golden State. And I don't see it as any different. In fact, you go to San Antonio, you try and piggyback with Victor's and try and get success, you might screw that team up. So I would tell Spurs Nation, do not want Kevin Durant. You do not want him. And if he's going there, you much rather want Giannis. Trust me. You do not want Durant. If you get Durant, well, you could get what you get. This is what I'm going to say right there. You're going to get what you get. That's right. So we're saying Spurs won't have to give it as much for KD as they would for Giannis. Would they still have to give up the second pick? Is that what it would take? They send the second pick to Phoenix. All of a sudden, Phoenix has a very high draft pick, and it helps them out. And Kevin gets to go to a preferred destination away from the Suns. I mean, I could see that happening that way. I could. But it's not good for the Spurs. It will hurt them. It will not help them. Y'all are better off with Jeremy playing than Kevin. Trust me. You guys are. Really are. Kaloy saying, I wish the Spurs don't do any big trades and let the young ones grow. But I get it. They might not have that long of a window with Wemby with health concerns. Well, the argument in Spurs Nation right now, which I do keep tabs on because I am in it, is that they're worried about fit with Dylan Harper being the second pick besides Steph Castle and the players that are already on the team, like De'Aaron Fox. And they're like, we don't need Harper. And Harper may actually make things more cloudy and weird on our team and problematic because we have a young rookie of the year named Castle, and we don't want to get in the way of what he's doing right now. We like what he's doing and who he is. And in some ways already, Spurs fans are like, we're rejecting the second pick who's coming because we don't want them to step on the toes of guys who are already on the team. I mean, this is something you got to think about when you're drafting. You want to make sure you get guys. You could get the best available talent, but it could shoot you in the foot because all of a sudden you've got a Rod Strickland, Mark Jackson point guard controversy. Milbester knows what I'm talking about right there. That's right. You get controversy, a TJ Ford, Jose Calderon controversy. You know, you don't necessarily want that unless it's worked out really well. Really, really well. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Stargate saying, here's the logjam I see at the 2-3, a shooting guard, small forward, wing position with the Raptors. Grady, Jacoby, Oshai, Jamison, add in AJ and Roden as well as the 905ers. And I would say RJ should be in that conversation too. And so should Brandon Ingram. So it's like, you know, you didn't even put the two starters in there. And you got that many guys off the bench. I'm just telling you, man, we're full up at wing. We're full up at wing. We need 1, we need 5, and we need 4. We need 5 priority. We need the position 5, 4 second, and 1 third. And then those other 2 positions that I don't think we need to go anywhere near them in this draft. So that's what I'm saying. You draft a 5 for sure in this draft, Messiah and Bobby. And if you can't get a 5, you better get a 4-5. And maybe you get a third point guard with the 39th pick. Or if you get the most talented point guard that you can get at 9, then you may have a problem because it's kind of like, but there's room and we can figure it out. Jamal Shed, Emmanuel quickly in a third point guard. It's good to have, succession coming up, but I don't know. Jamal's a pretty good, strong backup to grow into being the guy next after Emmanuel. So I don't know. And then we have really good passing forwards that we don't necessarily need a third point guard because Scotty, because RJ. So it's kind of like that. Smooth saying Harrison Barnes and Keldon Johnson and another salary filler guy with the 14th pick for KD. There you go. They don't even lose the second pick. And that's the deal. And that's actually not a bad deal for Phoenix in some ways to help their team get a little better too. Interesting. Stargate saying that's outside of our starting wings. Yeah, okay, so you made that designation there. So we're saying Masai gave him options and he chose Indiana. Toronto front office did right by him. Exactly. And Siakam's smart. And I mean, maybe it's a little bit Todd Ramsair with Andrew Nebhard and the connection there. It's like, oh, this will be great. I'll have 2 of my main clients together on the same team on Indiana Pacers. Yeah, Todd, that was nice. So it's like fits real good. And in some ways, Andrew being there helps Pascal get oriented and set up in Indiana easier. So, yeah, it was the great fit. It's working out beautifully. And in some ways, we're seeing Siakam flourish post-Raptors. I'm not hating on that. I'm not hating on that at all. And I'm glad it's on a team that I respect and like. And I'm glad that they're treating him very well. That's what I like. That's what I like right there. That's right. All right, Milbester's here, guys. Good morning to Knicks Freak on the day after Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. He's saying, hey, Lex, how's your Tuesday today? I'm still laughing why people think Pacers versus Thunder NBA Finals will suck. When it's two teams going for their first NBA championship, Celtics Mavs Finals suck. Yeah. Milbester, you want to dunk, man? You coming in here. This is not the energy you would think you'd hear from the normal Knicks fan. And that's why in some ways, man, Milbester, you're special and we care about you here in RFF land up here, man. So, yeah, Milbester, you're getting your second dunk of the year. You're at 6 for that take. I agree with you. I think that, people that think Pacers versus Thunder is going to be boring, man, that series last year was so uncompetitive between the Celtics and the Mavs. It was anticlimactic, and it was so boring because Boston just had it, and you knew it. It's almost like just going through the motions of, all right, we got to show up in the game. Nobody watched the game because it's not interesting. These NBA playoffs have been close. They've been nail biters. They've been physical. They've had defense. They've had storylines. They've had drama. They've had conflict. And there's all kinds of excitement this year. So anybody who thinks the Pacers versus the Thunder in the finals is a bad matchup, you're crazy. You're crazy right there. You're absolutely crazy. Milbester, good to see you, man. Stargate saying lots of teams that have been horribly managed, bunch of shit shows, more than usual. DC, Phoenix, Lakers, Sacramento, Pelicans, Philly. Yeah, that list is all right. Hornets, put them on there. Put the Hawks on that list too. I mean, we can go over. Most of the teams in the league, I would say more than half of them are not managed very well. And luckily, we are one of the teams that consistently are managed correctly in the era of Ujiri. And don't take that lightly, Raptors fans. Do not take that lightly. Seriously. Mel saying SGA versus Halliburton in the NBA Finals for their team's first NBA title. The two future faces of the league. Both teams with great young players that play hard with lots of energy, and both teams can score a lot. Yeah, it's exciting. And, that in itself is novel and fun. I like new champions. I like the idea of Indiana fans in Indiana getting excited and Oklahoma City also getting excited. Screw the Seattle championship. Screw the ABA championships for the Pacers. Those are not right championships for either of those teams. And honestly, Oklahoma City, take down your championship for Seattle as soon as you get a bona fide one for your city and send that banner back to Key Arena. Sorry, that banner should have never came from Seattle to Oklahoma City. The Sonics will come back, and they need to get their history back from you guys. So build your own damn history and make it this year SGA MVP and first time ever Oklahoma City Thunder champions. I do not count the Seattle Supersonics 79 championship for you guys, and y'all shouldn't either if you're self-respecting in Oklahoma City. So, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful thing. The Pacers won a couple of ABA championships. So they have been champions, but that was a long time ago in the 70s. And, being NBA champions in Indiana Pacer land, that will exercise a whole lot of ghosts for Reggie Miller. I'm going to tell you that right now. Reggie Miller is going to be like Vince Carter if the Pacers won the championship, waiting in the wings and just being so excited and ecstatic for his former team. And I'm glad that Vince was like that towards our team. I really am happy about that. Stargate saying, Katie, the Spurs to ruin that franchise now? No, thanks. I see the exact same thing. Fusey's giving me a W stream and a cutoff. Thank you. I am at 2.5 hours. I do need to start wrapping it up. We got classic cards still coming. Trevor's saying, WNBA game yesterday. Dallas beat Connecticut. The Liberty beat the Golden State Valkyries. And Minnesota beat Seattle. Dream beat LA, and Phoenix beat the Sky. Lots of games yesterday. I guess I'll check in with our fantasy league real quick. So far, I've got the lead after one game against Logical Raptors Fanatic in our matchup this week. MK's bouncing back this week against James right now. Fiercey is got the lead out of the gate against Cool Cat, and JP is beating Trucker Kaz, and Kareem is really kicking Edmonds' ass right now. So y'all check on your WNBA fantasy lineups and set them seriously, because honestly, y'all gonna lose if you don't put your people in to play. You need to do that. That's right. Kareem saying, we beat Golden State 2 out of 3 times during the season. Fuck what people think about with their injuries. Raptors were destined to win. Exactly. I think even if they were that good, Kawhi was that much better, is what I'll say. Started saying the Big Smoke is in Kingston, Jamaica, or Kingston, Ontario. I'm sure that, Kingston, Ontario, I could see them being there. Wayne saying, I hear Reggie Miller and Doris Burke praise the Raptors 2019 on broadcast now. Again, we never heard them during our run. However, we heard the Stephen A. dissing us, but they don't commenting. Okay. I like that they're coming back around with this love. I don't think Reggie was ever really mean to us. Seriously. Was Reggie ever downplaying us? He's probably been very respectful of us because in some ways he roots for underdogs. And I could see Reggie Miller being respectful towards the Toronto Raptors as usual. Doris Burke, though, I could see her maligning us in the past and now coming around at this point. There's a difference with that. It's kind of like Paul Pierce during that playoff run. He was very dissing us for a while, but then he saw the light and he started getting on the bandwagon with us and started professing the Raptors are going to do way better. Yeah, in some ways, it's like some people come around a little later, and maybe Doris Burke did. I think Reggie was with us all along, though. I don't think Reggie was dissing us. I don't think he was ever. I've never heard Reggie kind of down talk the Raptors ever, anywhere. I don't think I've ever heard him do that. Mark's saying, I have no problem with Boucher not playing for development, but for one game with the lottery odds pretty much determined, give him 10 to 15 minutes and let the crowd cheer him and appreciate him. I exactly agree with you, Mark. I'm going to give you a dunk. I wanted this too. And I kind of talked about it at the end of the season about how we should do this for him. Mark, you can get your dunk, man. Mark Tavares, you're on the dunk sheet. Because, you know, I would have loved this too. I really do feel sentimental about this. And I feel like you're exactly right. But for some reason, 50 matters. And if it's 51, I guess that's a problem. And well, they spent all 50 of his games to play. And they did the same thing the year before. I hope that he does come back and play for us, and we do get a chance to see him in a Raptors jersey again for us. But if he doesn't, well, when he comes back as an opposing player, we will definitely give him the love that you wanted to give him in this instance, Mark. And I totally get you, man. You think it rubbed you the wrong way. It did me too, but in some ways, I don't want to cause a whole bunch of chaos and problems in Fan Nation and crying out loud, like, why are you doing this to Chris? Because I don't want to add to that energy. I'd like to be more supportive and understanding and just like saying, okay, I don't know why they're doing this exactly. I'm just going to trust the franchise for handling Chris the way they are is the way that they need to. And I don't want to get outraged on my soapbox and get everybody in a tizzy around Raptors Fan Nation more than they already are. So that's kind of why in some ways I wasn't really going off or upset about it, because in some ways I got to realize that they have their reasons for this and I don't know them. So it rubbed me the wrong way too. In a perfect world, we get exactly what you're saying. In a perfect world, we would get that. I really, really do believe that. Maybe the 50 games or contract bonuses were involved and that would make sense. Maybe they re-sign him with their team salaries and the luxury tag, not looking likely. The big contingency on this, and logical Raptors fanatics gone over it with me, so I know, is that Chris is going to have to take a pay cut. In some ways, he's going to have to kind of take a pay cut like Gary Trent Jr. did last year. Gary thought he would be valued around $15 million a year. And well, he had to sign with the Bucks for like $2 or $3 million just to get a team on, but he's going to be a free agent this summer. And we'll see if he gets a price increase on another team somewhere because he took a lower contract with the Bucks this year. Now, in some cases, this may be the similar thing for Chris. But the thing that's different with Chris is the market may dictate whether he's going to be with us or not. This is a similar thing with like Fred. Fred had the payday from Houston because they could pay him more, and we could match that. We could have paid him $30 million, but they want to pay him over $40 million. So Fred took the money and he went. Now, this could happen with Chris also. Chris, if he wants something similar to what he made this year, which is around $12 million, it's not going to happen from the Raptors. So he's going to need a pay cut and a veteran minimum with us. He just made $35 million with us. So in some ways, it's not like he needs a huge contract on this. So it's really about what his priorities are. Is his priorities to stay in Canada with his kid here with, his baby mama and be in Canada and Toronto and, not go to the States, MAGA world, and just kind of like live the life he's already been living for less money being paid, or getting more money and going over there and doing that. It's about priority. And he may pick the money. He may pick home at a discount. We'll have to see. So we'll have to see, man. Definitely have to see. Yeah. Well, I hope that we got him back. And it could very well that him and Garrett, he'll have a bigger contract than Garrett, but it may be very similar that they get signed around the same time. And it's on veteran minimums to an extent. Yeah. Smooth saying, is Jonte in prison? Yes, he is. He will be in prison for at least 3 years. He gets early behavior or something like that. He can get kicked out, but he is in prison. He is in prison right now. He is. Yep. Kaloy saying, hey, Melvin, are you Milbester? Welcome back. I mean, that is Milbester. That Melvin is Milbester, guys. That is our Knicks fan that we love. Wayne saying, love Pascal, not the Pacers. OKC is my choice for the NBA championship. Pacers winning or any team from the East I'm against. Pascal getting to the finals is sufficient for us, Raptors fan. If you really want to start delineate things and getting like this, Wayne, I'm with you. But I will say this: out of all the Eastern teams, this is the team I would want to win. Out of all of them, and I said that from the beginning of the season too. It's like if the only other team other than the Raptors in the East that I would be okay with winning the championship is the Pacers. And well, it's looking like real good that they'll be the only Eastern team that has a chance to this year. That's fantastic. But if it's getting right down to things, the thought of SGA being the MVP and the champion and doing those things for Canada in general with Lou Dort, it's tough, man. In some ways, I'm like, it is Siakam, though. And there's no Raptors on that Thunder team. And I hate Chet Holmgren. I kind of don't want him to win a championship. So I'm torn. In some ways, I say may the best team win in that situation. I think it will be the Thunder. I think it will be. Yeah, it's like the easy saying Michael Porter Jr. investigation news is from a meme page. Okay, so it's a joke. It's a joke. This is what I'm saying. This is not real news. This is made up shit. And there's so much of it now, guys. You got to really just go to bona fide, real, verified sources. Blue checks don't even matter anymore, especially on Twitter. So you got to go to bona fide, real sources. One of the things I learned yesterday about Blue Skies is that it's a very equitable platform. There's no algorithm that pushes people more than others if they pay more. In fact, they want to be very democratic in that way. You can't pay for exposure. So I'm going to start pushing this channel more on Blue Skies because apparently you can get a lot of traction on there because everybody's on equal footing and there's no preferences in who gets pushed in the algorithm on Blue Skies. So I just learned this from the founder of Blue Skies, who did an interview recently, that they don't want to hurt people's ability to get seen. They want everybody to have an equal ability no matter how much they have. And that's the opposite of Twitter. You can basically pay to be put on blast by Musk. But Blue Sky's the opposite. They're democratic and they want everybody to have equal footing as far as exposure. So I'm going to start promoting the channel way more on Blue Skies because it sounds like that's an avenue I need to really discover if it's like that and see how much I can do there. Yeah. Let's see. Mark Tavares is saying Carter Bryant at 9 if he's still on the board. Okay. He's a long-armed wing that can play power forward, and he does have some good defensive chops, and he has some nice offensive moves too. But he's not exactly what I want in this draft, which is shot blocking, rim protection, and defensive toughness as a center down low. And that would be Common. Common's still number 1 on my draft board. And, until he gets drafted before us, if that doesn't happen, he's going to be the one I'm going to say over and over again, Ujiri, get him. That's right. Mark's saying, make a trade, get another mid-round first round pick, and see if you can get Fleming or Sorber. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make it too complicated. Trade rumors and trade ideas, you can go in all kinds of crazy creative directions. And a lot of people have been talking about trading picks and swapping picks and changing position in the draft is something, but I don't know how to prognosticate this or think about this in a realistic way because it's just so out of the blue. If they do something like this, it's kind of like, okay, I can't tell you what they might do or predict it, but when Masai and Bobby do it, we can look at it, analyze why they did it, and hopefully see the genius in the move. And so I won't speculate on any trading of draft picks for this draft because that's just too heady. And you get into areas of woulda, coulda, shoulda, and this and this and this. And I just don't do enough. I don't do woulda, coulda, shoulda on this channel. In some ways, this channel is very reactionary to what they actually do in the front office. Than me kind of like saying, okay, well, what if they did this? And then they got in the middle of the first round, what if they traded into the mid-20s and they were going for Renault, because he's more likely to get drafted around there and they do really like him. I mean, there's so many woulda, coulda, shouldas in all kinds of directions that they could choose. I like Fleming and Sorber. They're both on my top 10 to draft. So those are good names right there. Trevor's saying Michael Porter Jr. investigation. That's not true. It's Facebook rumor. It's just bullshit. It's a fan trying to be funny and witty is what it is. That's what I'm saying. There's some people out there that just think they're too fucking smart or funny for their own good. And they're putting out bullshit and it's hurtful because people are thinking it's real. That's why I came down on Doug Smith for making jokes about Armani Brooks and a contract signing because it's irresponsible. You're a journalist. You're supposed to tell the truth and the facts. And when you guys like Blake Murphy and you make jokes about news about the Raptors that is not true and you're being sarcastic, we don't know. And y'all are supposed to be valued, trusted sites, people for information. So any fan account that can put out anything like this Michael Porter thing we're talking about right now, that's what I'm saying. I don't have any time for that kind of garbage because it's garbage is basically what it is. Yeah, Trevor's saying the Knicks have to wait another 51 years to win. There you go. There you go, Spike Lee. I'm sorry, man. It may not be in your lifetime, my dude. It may not be in your lifetime, my guy. I'm sorry, bro. Let's see. Smooth saying, yep, that Sonics banner don't belong there. I really believe this. The Sonics banner belongs in Seattle where Sean Kemp, Rain Man, played. That's right. That's right. Like the Minneapolis banners, they belong in Minnesota. Yeah. I would have more respect for the Minneapolis Lakers banners being in the Timberwolves building than where they are in the Lakers. I know that's the team moved and all this kind of stuff. Once again, championships are for cities. They're not for businesses to me. And the city of Minneapolis should be able to regale in the heyday of George Mikan, not the city of LA. George Mikan didn't play in LA for the Lakers. He played in Minneapolis for the Lakers. So Minneapolis Lakers banners were won in Minneapolis. So they should be in Minneapolis. That's what I believe. I believe that, yeah. Wayne said, didn't say Reggie dissed us. He said he praises our team back then, but we wouldn't know because we were listening to our local crew. This is controversial now. Pascal wanted more max money, so he had to go. Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't afford Siakam. And once again, I'm going to say this. You know, Siakam is getting new levels. I can't talk about this too much because I'm going to talk about this on Sunday. But there were no guarantees that Siakam was going to progress and get to new levels like he is right now currently for the Pacers. It's a gamble to invest the money we would put in on him and he stays in the Raptors. And what if it stays just as jaded and weird and still the same energy from the losing in recent years and it's just ruined for Siakam in Toronto because of the aftermath of after the championship years of all that the Raptors franchise went through. And it's nobody's fault. It's a pandemic. It's playing in Tampa. And it just jaded and it screwed up the feelings of Siakam on the team. And it's hard to get back to that really, really jubilant, amazing place that he was in his early Raptors career. That's a big part of it right there that people are completely overlooking. These guys are human beings. And like recently, I watched the Mike Roach interview with Alvin Williams. It's an hour-long interview. It's really good. Alvin goes into detail a lot about his upbringing with his father. And also like how he became a player and what the things that mattered to him and stuff like that. Some tough lessons he learned as a young player. And, he brought up the fact him and Mike Roach talked about how a lot of fans just look at players like they're robots. They don't look at them as people with human beings that have feelings and they go through things. And Siakam was going through things with us the last couple of years he was with us. He's soul searching. In some ways, he was dealing with possibly feeling like he was failing because he wasn't being an outright proper franchise player for the Raptors for those couple of years when he was kind of handed that role. So in some ways, he was spinning his wheels and he needed a change of scenery over jadedness and just to get to a new place and get that enthusiasm back that he had early in his career. So I think that was very essential that Siakam went to Indiana. I think it really was, man. Really was. Mark's saying, if this playoffs has shown us anything, it has shown us that two-way players in depth matter. Yes. And yes, totally with you, Mark. Stargate saying Gary Trent Jr. and Deuce McBride have similar games. Okay, I've not really thought about that, but I could see that. Miles McBride having a streakiness like Gary Trent can get very hot and get crazy, but then can also disappear and not be there at all for you on some nights. Yeah, okay. Mark's saying, I don't think Malawatch will be there at 9. I don't know. I think it's 50-50. It's a weird thing. And I think that Bobby will be ready either way. Contingency plans in place just in case. But, man, if he falls to 9, we're grabbing him. And I'm pretty sure that's the promise that Ujiri sent to Malawatch's camp is that, look, guys, if you're not drafted by 9, the Raptors are definitely picking you at 9, Common. So don't worry. You'll get drafted in the top 10. The Raptors will pick you at 9. And maybe if Common knows that information, maybe he goes to other draft workouts and he fudges them. Maybe he goes to Brooklyn. He's like, I'm really slow. Did you guys know that I have really bad habits, like outside of my NBA life? Like I like to eat junk food from 7-Eleven, like my hero, Zion Williamson. Oh, really? Common. I don't know if we like that. Yeah, I love American junk food. Since I've come here from Cameroon, I love it. I love it so much. Okay, Jordy, I don't know if we should get this guy. Jordy, I don't know if we should get this. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just saying, we don't know. The mock drafts are going all over the place. Like half of them say we can get him, and half of them say you'll be gone. So we'll have to just see on the day of the draft. We'll go through the motions just like our front office will, and they will act accordingly to how it all lays out. That's how it's got to go right there. Mo's here. Good morning, Rapid Free crew. Happy for Khem. Yeah, good morning to Mo. We're going to have her birthday party, and it's coming up, man. We got about 10 days before we're going to do Monique's birthday party. It's a week from this coming Saturday at the NBA restaurant, 5:30 p.m., June the 7th, this Saturday. It's going to be a fun crew. Come on down there. It's open invite to anybody on the Rapid Freak channel. If you're listening to me and you like are just wanting to come down there, just come down there. I know we made a reservation with numbers, but the more the merrier. And I'm sure Monique wouldn't be upset if some Rapid Freaks showed up out of the blue. So y'all strongly consider coming to the first Rapid Freak hangout of the summer. And that is for Monique's birthday party. Once again, the second annual Monique Lawrence super fan birthday party at the NBA restaurant. This is like the second one. We'll do it doing it again this year. It's gonna be so much fun. So be ready for that. Good to see you, Mo. We love you. Slug saying Knicks were naming streets after players and having a Jalen Brunson lookalike contest before they won anything of significance. What a joke. That's what I'm saying. They're so starved for this. They're so starved for this. This is why Raptors fans, I want y'all to act like y'all been there, done that when we get to this again. Seriously, when Scotty and these guys get there, don't be acting like little kids and be like, whoa, doing like what the Knicks are doing. No, don't shoot your shot early. Come on now. We need to be like Siakam and understand there's work to be done and business to be taken care of. And in some ways, the fan nation, if we can act like we're not so like jubilant and crazy because we've had success all of a sudden for the first time. No, we've had success before. So we need to act like we've been there and done that. And we can't be acting like Knicks Nation's been acting the last couple of years when they've had playoff success. Little bit of playoff success, because in some ways they look so stupid when they get out in the streets and cheer for one playoff win and then they get put out of the playoffs in the second round. So I'm just saying, let's be better than this, Raptors fans. Let's be showing that in some ways we are been there and done that. We are used to this, and this isn't weird. You think Spurs fans get like this? Think about all the years the Spurs have been in the playoffs and the championships they won. Spurs fans are going to act like, yeah, this has been there, done that. This is what we expect. But in some ways that we don't expect it to the degree where it has to happen, but we expect us to be successful. And that's what we want for our fan nation when it happens again for us. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, that's ridiculous. They're naming streets after one playoff win. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Seymour saying Brooklyn Nets will not allow Raptors to get Common. Their big mans last night were Claxton and Watford, who is actually a small forward, power forward. Nets will not let us get him, but the fingers crossed. We don't know for sure. Once again, man, draft day is crazy. You guys may very well be exactly right, and we may see exactly what you guys are saying. Common Malawatch, 8th pick for Brooklyn Nets. But crazy things happen. We don't know. We don't know for sure. We got to do the draft the way it's supposed to. We got to see how it goes. It could very well be Bobby and Messiah kind of feeling out who they think is really eyeing Common right now, and they're getting a realistic gauge. And they're, like I said, they have contingency plans for everything that could possibly happen. Seriously, they probably have one plan that says Cooper Flagg falls to 9. We pick Cooper Flagg, which is not going to happen. We know that. But just in case, they have their contingencies for whatever. This is what I'm saying right there. So I trust them. Either way, I know we were in capable hands because the track record is there for Ujiri and Webster. And if I was another team like the Hornets or the Sixers, I would be a little worried about them making the pick correctly. Even the 3rd pick for the Sixers, that's a really good one. They're going to fumble. And even if they pick Bailey, that might be the fumble right there. Seriously, man. Seriously. Mark's saying, great live, great topics. Love you talking basketball and Raptors, man. Thank you. You're welcome, Mark. It's off season and nobody's going to be talking about Raptors right now. I mean, the Leafs had a playoff run and they became the focus of Toronto sports. And the NBA is not going to put us on blast. We're losers. We're out of the league, the playoffs. But this is a space where we can make ourselves priority number one every single morning at 9:30. And I appreciate you guys. This is nothing without you guys. It's a two-way street. And having like around 20 people every day that want to talk Raptors live with me, it's a blessing. And I feel so privileged, man. And it partly was because of the pandemic. I started this channel because I was stuck at home and I was jonesing to talk Raptors with people. So I said, Lex, why don't you try and do it from your house? and just put a stream out, and they come, boom, you got your Raptors talk quota every single day, no matter what. 9:30 a.m. Rapid Freak stream. I appreciate you, Mark, man. You've been a rising star in the recent weeks, coming in recently more and more with us, and we appreciate it, man. Keep coming back when you can, and you've been a great addition to the comments, man. That's what I say right there. Let's see. Slug saying Seymour's laughing at Slug, and Superfan Mo's loving the interview that Pascal had. It was really good. Stargate saying, yeah, I think Brooklyn will pick him if he's still there by their pick. I just hope we don't go with Murray Boyles. Yeah, no Murray Boyles. I'm with you on that. Smooth saying maybe the Raptors try to trade up to ensure they get the Duke 5. That's what I'm saying. We could speculate on this either way. We could speculate that they trade to try and go up. We could speculate they trade to go down. We could speculate that they trade to consolidate picks. We could speculate that they trade to get more picks than what they have. I mean, there's all kinds of ways we could look at it. And in some ways, it's not useful. In some ways, we got to look at what we have just exactly right now. That's the 9th and the 39th pick, and really speculate on that. If they go deviate from that on their own, that's Masai's plan, and that's Bobby's work, and they will do it, and we will see the aftermath, and we will analyze it afterwards. But, man, to extrapolate into all the different possibilities of what they could do, man, we could be here for, like, talking about this forever with the things that they could do. Seriously, man. Seriously, yeah. I'm totally with you guys about no Murray Boyles. Really am. Most saying, and that Mike Roach podcast with Alvin, it was good. It's good. I'm glad I finally watched it. I love Alvin Williams. Alvin Williams was funny, man. He was talking about when he was a young player, he was antisocial. In some ways, he didn't totally trust everybody. He had a chip on his shoulder. In some ways, he wasn't very friendly. In some ways, DeMar's the same thing. DeMar came in the league. He had a chip on his shoulder. He was always mean mugging. He was always angry. In some ways, Alvin Williams was like that. In some ways, he felt like he had to have that edge. But as he's gotten older, the way he interacts with fans has changed a lot. And he's very, very, very smart. And having interacted with him personally, I've seen it in firsthand how he acted towards me. When we were with Tom Duke at Real Sports after a game we went to, we were hanging out with Alvin Williams. And I'm a big, huge Alvin fan. Like I have been since he played for our team all along. He was my favorite Raptor, not Vince. I was one of these guys who's like, Alvin's my favorite Raptor, not Vince Carter. And I told Alvin, I was like, man, I'm a huge fan. I called him by his nickname, second to none, a boogie, and said all this stuff. And I showed him that I have the knowledge of his career and I'm a real one that actually really knows him. And he was like so effusively appreciative towards me as a real fan. He was like, man, I can really tell you know your stuff, bro. And, it's fans like you guys that I really, really, I appreciate so much. And he's just so personable and interacting with people at this point. When young Alvin, he was kind of antisocial. He didn't want to talk to nobody. He was all business. So it's kind of an interesting maturation and, growth as a person that Alvin Williams has gone on to understand the interactions with fans matter and that you have a huge impact on people. And I'm going to tell you right now, Alvin, that bit of time I hung out with you that night, you really made an impact on me for making me feel special. And you recognizing that, this is not your average Raptor fan. This is a dude who really knows his shit. And I'm going to acknowledge him for that to his face. And I appreciate that, Alvin Williams. And I've met Alvin 3 times in my life. And each time was fun. The first time was he was signing his jersey for me. He's sitting at a table. And I got in trouble with the security guard. They were kind of mad at me. The second time was walking in front of the Metro Convention Center from the Sky Dome after a Blue Jays game. And he was walking on the street with a lady friend in front of me. And I recognized him, even though he was incognito. Nobody knew him. I say, hey, Dub, Alvin Williams, second to none. I was like talking to him. I just said, yo, what's up? He said, hey, what's up, Raptors fan? That's all that was. But yeah. And then the third time I actually did get to talk to him at Real Sports with Tom Duke that night. So yeah, Alvin, you're awesome. And thank you for doing that interview with Mike Roach. Of course, you guys work together in the production team. Mike Roach doing all the work for Alvin as a producer on that channel for Sportsnet. And Alvin, man, you're awesome, man. Your growth as a broadcaster has been awesome. You're getting better and better every year. You really are. You really are. I appreciate him so much, man. All right, let's see. I don't know how doable moving up would be. I know we'd have to sell the farm. In some ways, if we were trying to move up in the draft, we would have to probably move one of our main starters to do that. And I don't know if it's worth it doing that. I don't think any of those players in the top are worth moving RJ or Emmanuel or Brandon or, stuff like that. That's what it would have to be, honestly. So I don't know if it's doable. That's right. That's right. So we're saying maybe work a trade with New Orleans to get the 7th pick. We just did a trade with New Orleans and we got what we wanted from New Orleans. I don't know. I know you want that 7th pick, but what do we give them back? Did we trade anybody back that we just got from them? Brandon? No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It's more of a headache to try and figure out. Let's just deal with what we've got and make the best of it. That's what I'm saying. It would have been more ideal if we got in the 6th or 7th pick, obviously, because we'd be more in line to get Malawach. But it didn't work out that way, and we just got to make the best of the situation. That's just how it is. W Stream, W Vibes. Thank you, Mo. I'm almost at 3 hours. I need to get done. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Limit in the comments. Thank you. I appreciate that. Smooth saying, all the hype around Malawach. Is he that good? Well, he's 7'2". He's a project. He came to the game late. He has some real potential to do something crazy. In some ways, we've got Shamshe, who's kind of already a project from Cameroon. But, you know, if we got Common, I think that would be a good thing. Honestly, I'm all about having Malawach on our team. I really am. Because in some ways, I want to get some Twin Towers in a couple years of African guys on our team. That would be awesome. All right, let's go. Classic card right now. Let's see. Let me get a good one. Man, I hate these cards that have the name on 2 sides. It's so dumb. Why did you do that to me? These ones are hard too. Yeah, we'll do this one. This one's easy, though. All right, I'm going to cover up the middle of it, and you get this side. All right, classic card of the day. This is easy. You know who that is. This guy was actually an answer on one of the trivia questions for Chris Boucher the other day. I should cover his name better. Yeah, that's easy. Fiercey got the name crazy, but I'll keep it. To buy it. That's right. I'm gonna get her. She was quick on the draw, so we're gonna give it to Fiercey, even though she has the spelling just a little off. Of course, Tobias Harris with a Philadelphia jersey on. That's I love that. That makes me remember good memories for Raptors. When I see Tobias in a Philly jersey, that's good stuff. All right, so we're gonna give it to Fiercey. Even though Slug, I see you there. You got in there. Even though I give her some grace, if there's just one letter off, there's just one letter off. Let's see, Tobias Harris. And, you know, Fiercey's not always getting the classic card. She's really good on the Raptor Freak trivia like she did yesterday. But she's not always on the classic card list. So we're going to give her this one. It's an easy one, though. So I'm going to give her a 50 for it. It's not a whole lot of points, though. So, yeah. All right, let me wrap it up. We're real close to 3 hours. And, man, I'm supposed to be doing 2-hour shows, but it's all right. I missed a couple shows this week because of getting cut off. So I got to make up the time, I guess. That's what it is right there. Yeah, you're 30 seconds behind. Yeah, it's too bad. You got to make sure you hit that live button. That's my best advice for anybody. Congratulations to Khem Birch and Fender Bach from Turkey. So many Raptors connections to this franchise, this championship franchise for Euroleague. And Khem Birch, you're awesome, man. We love you, man. And I'm so happy you're living your best life right now and living a dream. And you know, your dream in basketball doesn't have to be in the NBA. Your dream can be in Europe. Your dream can be in Australia, David Johnson. And you guys can go do it. You're professionals in basketball. And it doesn't necessarily mean you get to play in the NBA. The NBA has got limited spots. But professional basketball players can play overseas in other places, CBL. And they can be very successful and earn a living doing something that they love. And that's badass. So, Khem Birch, I salute you. And congratulations, Wendy Sparks. Your son did real good. Real good. Good job, Euroleague champions. The refs for tonight all favor the Oklahoma City Thunder. I didn't do the ref report yet. James Capers Jr. is the crew chief. He favors the Thunder. Mark Davis favors the Thunder. And Ben Taylor, Fred's best friend, favors the Thunder. That is your crew for tonight. Capers, Davis, and Taylor. And then in the alternate is Ed Malloy. And the replay center has John Goebel. So, yeah, heavy favor for the Pacers, for the Thunder, to close out the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight in Oklahoma City, guys. So be ready for that. Eat at Big Smoke Burgers, Canadian franchise. Very, very good stuff. Let's see, Raptors Reddit. What are y'all doing there right now? They're giving Pascal love. Yep, they're giving Pascal love. They're also Kyrie Irving was on a podcast lately, and he was talking about how Jose Calderon was his welcome to the NBA moment. Isn't this crazy? Kyrie Irving, who's an amazing player, said that the first player that busted his ass in the league was our Spanish point guard. And he did it in a Raptors jersey too. So in some ways, that's part of the reason our team is because he let it be known in a podcast recently. The league, the first guy that took him to school was Jose. And then special respect for him still to this day for it. But he also had, I want to get back at Jose Calderon and the Raptors because they made me look bad very young as a rookie in the NBA for Cleveland. So that was interesting to hear that story from Kyrie Irving saying that Jose Calderon was his welcome to the NBA moment. That's kind of cool, man. There's some garbage trade there. This is an interesting thing that's being posted on Reddit right now. It's about a meeting that happened in Miami in 2022 in the summer between Barnes, Siakam, Van Vliet, Anunoby, and Achua. They all sat down with each other, and Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster. I kind of remember this meeting. I remember when this thing happened. And basically, they wanted to gauge how much that it would be smart to keep the team together and how committed they were. And apparently, at this dinner that they had in Miami, I vaguely remember this dinner. I think Gary Trent was at it too. That these guys were non-committal about their futures and being together to go forward. Now, even though Norman said, I would have loved to keep the band together, Fred, and we didn't get a chance. Well, if y'all were sitting at a table at some point in Miami in 2022 in the summer with Bobby and Masai, and they were asking you about playing together and going forward, and y'all were non-committal about that, that may be the reason why y'all aren't together right there. That dinner that y'all had, you know, in some ways, the Raptors today, if they had dinner together in Miami like that, afterwards, they're going out together and they're hanging out together. But when y'all had that dinner in Miami in 2022, y'all went to that dinner, did not commit to staying together, talking to Bobby Masai at that dinner, apparently. And then y'all all left separately and went your own separate ways. That says it enough right there, guys. People that wonder why Siakam, Anunoby, and Van Vliet are not on our team anymore, it may very well have something to do with this Miami summer meeting that they had where they did not show the right signs. You know, Bobby Webster's a FBI profiler. He looked at them, he checked their eye contact, the way they were fidgeting or what they were doing. He said, "Man, Masai, they're not committed, man. We cannot commit the money and the salary cap to these guys being together because they're not the right nucleus in the chemistry." And that's the thing. We got the right chemistry now. And that's the why Raptors fans need to stop this. Siakam should still be playing for our team. If that was going to happen, it would have happened, but it didn't. And y'all need to let go of it, man. Seriously, y'all need to let go of that now. Raptors fans are asking, is purple back now or what? No, it's a classic retro color that's used for specialty jerseys, and our colors are red and black. So understand that, Raptors fans who keep wanting the purple back in full effect, y'all just let it go, please. Please let it go. Happy birthday to former Raptors assistant coach Trevor Gleeson. The Phil Jackson of Australia came and coached our team for a while. It was a little bit of a failure. It was a part of the Nick Nurse team that got kicked out after that crazy-ass stuff. Trevor Gleeson, thank you for coming and coaching for the Raptors for a little while. I wish you all the best, and happy birthday to you, my guy. He is, let's see, he's 7 years older than me. He's 57 today. 57 years old. Trevor Gleeson is right now. All right, that's it on that. That's it on that. We're getting through all our tabs right here. Yeah, I already talked about that. That was hilarious. The worst team. All right, thanks for watching the Rabbit Freak stream. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Tomorrow is Thursday Think Tank. You know, I've had 2 weeks in a row. Nobody's called in. I don't know if I'll do the call-in show if nobody's going to call in. So please call in if you want to tomorrow. I'll figure out what the subject is, and I'll post it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. That's right. There you go. There you go. Classic card experts. Yeah, Fiercey, you don't do as well there. Yeah, you don't, but you got it today, and I'm proud of you. And Monique is celebrating for Wendy Sparks. Is really, really awesome. And Cass, thank you for the W's. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Khem Birch. That's right. If Mavs get KD, it's a Team USA dream team. Well, that's folly. We've already seen Kyrie next to Kevin, and we've seen enough of that. If they want to think that that's just magically going to make them better, nope, it's not. It's not. I'm telling you right now, Kevin's going to block any success on any team he goes to. It doesn't matter which of the 30 teams he's on. He's going to block that success. He's done. In some ways, him and LeBron need to let go of their careers and move on and retire because they're done. They're going to get in the way of any team that tries to get them to help them. They're not going to help teams get championships at this point. They will get in the way. So he's fool's gold. Any team that tries to get Kevin Durant right now to get a championship, you're kidding yourself. You won't get it. And you will not. You will not. I'm telling you right now, man. AD, Clay, Kyrie, Cooper. Yeah, all that. I know it sounds good. It sounds real flashy. It already sounds good. Cooper Flag with Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and Anthony Davis. That sounds good already. That doesn't mean it's going to be good in reality, though. The hype and the expectations around Cooper Flag are crazy. And, you know, you're expecting some very injury-prone players to show up consistently for Dallas, which is the history of all three of those guys is not very good. Let's just put it that way. All three of them, Davis, Irving, and Thompson. So we gotta be smart about analyzing who's there and what it is. And once again, God hates the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, so they won't have any success as long as a genocidal, crazy-ass bitch owns that team. Trust me. And Dallas wins. We don't want that in any kind of way because that means more bombing of babies and women and Palestinians. So yeah, we don't want Dallas to be successful. In some ways, that means more genocide. So I ain't about Dallas Mavericks doing well next year because they are supporting Israel, bombing the Palestinian people in Gaza. So fuck that team. Fuck that owner. Fuck that. I'm for the fan base. I'm for Mark Cuban. I'm for Dirk Nowitzki. I'm for Luka Doncic. I'm for Rolando Blackman. But I'm not for the owner and their team being successful going forward. I have respect for Kyrie Irving. I have a little bit more respect for Anthony Davis now that he's not on the Lakers. But I don't have respect for Cooper Flagg or Klay Thompson. How about that? Let's go Raptors, champions 2019. When's the next one coming? Euroleague champion Khem Birch. Let's go Raptors. Let's get a championship soon.